Wunderbar Wednesday, welcome aboard another installment of what we call the AM Show. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I do this together with Cedi Abochi. And coming up, we'll be serving you the news in a bit. You know that now, together with our business updates, we'll serve you sports as well. And from there, we'll lead on to our news review. Those joining the conversation this morning are two stalwarts. Dr. Kwame Asante. He is a political scientist and head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Also joining him, Afil Morning. He's former president of the Ghana Journalists Association, and Pakwesi Eduafo Abedu. He's a development analyst. All of them join us for the news review. And then we get into our big stories. Now, the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG has charged on the Auditor General, accusing him of unethical and unprofessional conduct and using the office as a tool for intimidation and unbridled discretionary use of power to disallow legitimate payments. But are they? They say the Auditor General must resign, and we'll be delving into that all-important issue. I'm sure if that's your alma mater, and generally as a country, you saw that report talking about the many millions that supposedly were diverted by that institution. We'll get into that conversation. But again, there's more controversy on the performance of the Ghana Cedi, as former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has described as misplaced credit the NDC's claims that the stability of the cedi was a result of deliberate and prudent decisions taken by government. But government insists effective measures are being taken to trigger the current cedi performance. In fact, we've heard from a deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, among other stalwarts who say, even economists who say, no, this is not short-lived. But who's telling us the truth? Where do we find the middle ground? We'll be bringing you details on that as well. Again, we're on the ground for day 2 of the AMA's drive to decongest Accra, the city centre, and get rid of traders impeding pedestrian walks and improving vehicular traffic. Well, we'd love for you to join us with your thoughts on all of these matters. Don't you forget, as the show goes on, shoot in your message via the live stream. Let's know what's on your mind. And when we activate the phone lines, be one of those to call. Don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Whaley Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. But stick and stay now. We'll be serving you the news in a bit.
Good morning. I'm Cedi Abochi, serving you AM News on the AM Show, and details now. Concerns are emerging over how the Accra Metropolitan Assembly intends to sustain the decongestion exercise that's happening on a road in the central business district of Accra. The AMA yesterday took to the streets of Tudu, Makola, Kantamanto, and some part of the major city in a major crackdown on the street encroachment by traders. Now, the exercise comes on the back of the Accra Mayor Michael Bakpo Alote's earlier announcement of the AMA's agenda to bring some sanity to the streets, especially in the central business district. James Aveji has a wrap of the day's activities.
You didn't know that this place is also part of the place? Why are you parking to now?
Since almost a high count,
So you are closing for them?
Almost me and children say about any baby I could be. It's almost we don't cast it to my schedule, so I'm going to say you fine.
Will you come back later?
Madam, you best say here and I went to your best, but baby I could be.
If you come back, they will come and sack you.
What's I come back?
Thank you. What are you selling?
Empower slippers.
She said they've been told to leave the main road, and that's why some of them have decided to put their wares here on the shoulder of the road. But the new instructions to them from the task force now is that even the pavement, the walkway, need to be cleared of every goods. And so she's packing her things back and closed for the day. they will go and plead with the task force to know if they'll be allowed back to the place. If they allow them back, they will come back. They will keep coming until they finally settles back again as business as usual. Talk to me. What's the problem? Are you also affected?
Oh, we are not really affected like that. They are just trying to manage us so that we pave way for pedestrians and those who come here to buy. So I think it's a good exercise.
But what do you make about the exercise entirely? Is it a good one you think can bring order to the place?
Yes, it's a good one that will bring order to the place because we are too stubborn. So we need to be regulated like this.
You traders are too stubborn?
Yes.
Meaning you know that coming all the way to the road is a bad thing, but you had no choice than to do it.
Yes, we know what's right, but sometimes we need to be forced to do what's right. So I think it's a good exercise that they are taking place. It's a good exercise.
I'm sure he's one of those ones, that's why he says so. But if they live here and do not come back, will you continue to stay where you are, or you'll be compelled to come back?
Sure, we'll continue to stay where we are. We are not going to come forward again, because I'm sure it's not going to be like previous days. They will be coming always and often. So I'm sure we'll abide by their rules.
But if some of your colleagues decide to shift a bit forward and block your view, will it compel you to come back?
That's one thing that brings problems here. But I'm not sure this time around anyone will try that act again. So I think we'll maintain the light they've given us.
What's your name?
Kwame Asare.
What do you sell?
Slippers.
So this is one of the routes from Cycle Adabraka all the way to Kantamanto and to do in the Central Business District. And you can see from the background the road has been cleared all the way to Kantamanto as part of the decongestion exercise. For those of you who ply this route, you would agree that at this time of the day, early morning, as at 9 o'clock a.m., even cars would have to be held in traffic for minutes or hours in order to make their way into Kantamanto. But today, as you can see, traffic is flowing, cars are moving smoothly. At least 2 or 3 cars can move side by side on this side of the road, which usually wouldn't be very congested. After about an hour of break from the exercise in the Central Business District, the task force headed to Circle and Kanishi to also carry out the decongestion exercise.
Residents of Wasai in the Sisala West District say poor road conditions are crippling their livelihoods, causing post-harvest losses due to difficulty transporting farm produce. At a press conference, community spokesperson Abdurrahman Dauda Katulo urged the government to fix the Ulo-Wasai Junction Bridge and open the Wasai-Du and Wasai-Preprem roads to boost economic activity. Join US's Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wasai.
Wasai community is predominantly farmers located in the Sisala West District. They are faced with myriad of challenges. Key among them is the deplorable road network of the area. According to residents of the community, the deplorable road network in the area is affecting their farming activities as they are unable to cut their farm produce from the community to the market centers. This concern was raised during a press conference by community members and addressed by Abdurrahman Dauda Kuntulo.
The specific demand we are asking for is the fixing of the culvert or bridge just immediately after the Ulu-Wasai junction. Whilst the Wasai-Du and Wasai-Preprem road are to be open to allow access or link to the 2 villages to enhance our social and economic activities.
The community's concern were further echoed by Wasambezo Abdulwasio, a farmer.
And also on the farming side still, people have trouble traveling or transporting their goods to the farms because the roads connecting them to the farms are very poor. And also even the roads connecting us to other communities are also very poor. They are in fact in a deplorable state. So we are calling on government if they could assist us with all these challenges. I think we also live a happy life in our own community.
The appeal from the community is part of a broader list of concerns raised at a press conference organized by the chief of Wasai, Kuro Alhaji Abu Kuntlo Dembon II. Other issues included the need for completion of a 2-unit classroom project, which is currently a community initiative. In the area of health, Madam Fatih Wasai Bobtoya, a retired nutritionist, shared their thoughts.
So we pray that they will get more nurses so that if one is even away, another one can be there to support. Apart from that, when there are difficulties in delivery and they have to refer them to hang or any health center, the nature of the road is so bad that sometimes they either abort or they get complications when they get to the clinic. So we hope that if the road is well done, it will go a long way to help the women.
Additionally, Kuntlo Mustafa, an assemblyman, contributed to the discussion.
We don't have any drug for snake bite. Meanwhile, we are living in a snake area. Let me just say, here the bush, we are just close to the bush. And that is normally where the snakes are also hiding. So when it is farming time, many people suffered because of that snake bite. And when they come here, people die because of that. When they come to, we have to be rushing them to either hang or Golu, which is too far. The roads too are not good. Sometimes because of the road, you will just be managing now. Before you get there, the person is no more there.
The press conference concluded with a call to action for community members to stop cutting down economic trees like shade trees and to find better ways to replace them when necessary. Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam, Wasai.
In other stories, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana has launched its 2025 AGMA and logo reaffirming its commitment to strengthening pharmacists' role in primary health care. Executive Secretary Reverend Farm Dr. Denisena Awiti pledged the Society's readiness to align its policies with the Mahama Cares Initiative to enhance quality healthcare delivery. We'll tell you more in this report.
The 2025 Annual General Meeting of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, PSGH, was launched after a unanimous decision by the board of the society. Reverend Farm Dr. Denisena Awiti is the Executive Secretary of PSGH.
In the past 10 years, launching an AGM. But with this new chairperson of the planning committee, with her ingenuity and exuberance, she proposed that we launch the 2025 Annual General Meeting and Conference of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, which was unanimously accepted by the governing board.
He also indicated the Society's plans to adapt to the objectives of the Mahama Cares Initiative.
With this proposal of Medicare or healthcare that was in the government's program of activities, we are saying that we are already in the community. So whatever the objectives of the program is, we are looking at it and to tailor it so that we already been there, we adapt so that if there are things that we need to strengthen, we'll strengthen it. Things that we need to unlearn and learn. Even if there's a need to look at in terms of our setting as a healthcare provider with community pharmacy in the community, then we'll have to do those adjustments.
The theme for the meeting, Strengthening Pharmacy for Primary Health Care, reflects the people-centeredness of pharmaceutical works, which is echoed by the Vice President of PSGH, Farm Kwabna Asante Ofe Esquire.
So as a pharmaceutical society, increasingly the work that we do is becoming more and more people-centered. and the discussions that we even have are not discussions that are important just for us, but most importantly for the people that we serve, which are our clients. And so that even impacts the discussions that we have at our AGMs. In our previous AGMs, we usually do not engage the public before the AGM. Any engagements are after the AGM. And considering where we are going, it is also important that even before the AGM happens, discussions are held with the public for contributions, thoughts, ideas that will ultimately feed into the discussions we have at the AGM to shape the decisions that we make.
Abigail Lisa Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Presbyterian Old Boys launch a mentorship program to bridge Ghana's education to employment gap. Ghana's youth unemployment rate currently stands at 19.7%, according to the latest report from the Ghana Statistical Service. For many young people, the journey from the classroom to a career remains uncertain and for some, out of reach. But one group of old students is taking action, and Stephen Mensah reports on the new intervention by the Presbyterian Old Boys Association.
Despite increased access to education, Ghana's transition statistics remain worrying. UNESCO data reveals that only 23% of secondary school graduates advance to tertiary institutions, meaning nearly 300,000 students each year are left without structured support or access to career networks. In response, the Presbyterian Old Boys Association has launched a structured mentorship program designed to connect students with professionals in the field ranging from engineering and medicine to media and finance. Chachuma Okuchali is the president of the 2000-year group.
We believe that, talent needs to be shaped and directed. And so sharing our experiences will inspire them, also give them more confidence into being what they have to become what they were actually shaped for. And so we are here to basically tell our story, share our story with them, to inspire them, to give them confidence. And we are also here to launch a partnership with the 2025 year group, which is in the final year now, basically to assure them that we are there for Y2K 2000. We are here for them, and we will be there to hold their hands through their career and development.
The class of 2000, celebrating 25 years since graduating from Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Legon, led the first major rollout. Some students speaking to Joy News described the experience as inspiring and transformational.
I'm preparing for my final exam. It's going okay, trying to solve a few more past questions to be able to truly understand how the WASI questions come up, and then trying to make sure I get more concepts into my head and learn more of the stuff in the book to be able to answer more questions.
Yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of activities, and I think some memorable moments would have been the speech day we had in Form 1. Others may be debate competitions we've been involved in. Others may be tours we've gone to other schools, and I think other inspirational programs are innovative ones which we've experienced from.
With Ghana's labor underemployment rate also hovering at 24.2%, experts say scalable community-driven mentorship is essential in improving education to employment outcomes.
And that will be all, but let's get into business update now with Benjamin Akakbo.
Welcome aboard our business updates. Let's kickstart affairs with the currency market for today. Let's get into the stories now. And trade policy think tank and consumer protection group CUTS International has questioned the proposed margin of reduction in transport fares. Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union has finally announced in a statement that fares will go down by some 15% beginning this Saturday. However, West African Director of CUTS International, Apiakusi Adomako, says commuters should have been getting more than what has been announced.
I think it is not enough. This kind of reduction came from the transport operators, not through any independent economic assessment that came. In fact, when you do the computation, consumers should be getting something around 21% or so. But the driver union has become more like a cartel, and they decide how much they should reduce their prices. That is why I've been saying for many years that Ghana needs a competition law that will address the issue of price fixing and cartels. Because once people know that they fix prices and they cannot be dealt with, they will go ahead consumers.
And in our next story, Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Benjamin Insian, has called for circumspection following Tullow Oil's announcement that it has commenced fresh drilling on the Jubilee field. According to him, while the announcement may be seen as a positive development for the country's oil industry, there is the need for transparency, accountability, and responsible management of Ghana's oil resources. He spoke to Joy Business.
Maximization depends on contracts signed. I believe that if we get fair contracts in some of these operations and also injecting certain liquidity with respect to our national oil company in this drilling process, at the end of the day, we are likely going to get a lot of revenue from this upstream development. But if we do not sign good and fair deals, we are likely going to be shortchanged in this drilling development. So it is about us ensuring that there's that good governance in terms of contract signage, and also ensure that we partner well. Participation here means that we inject certain liquidity in our participatory interest, so that at the end of the day, if they are giving us some form of share based on that particular interest, we also get a lot and then convert this into revenue to support the development of this country.
Well, from there, let's now check out the trading prices of some of the world's major commodities. And that's how we cap off our business updates. But tied to this, we'll be serving you sports in a bit with all the latest action you can expect, of course, in the Europa League and more. Do stay for that.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. The Ghana Football Association has launched the 5th edition of the KGL Under-17 competition, a regional tournament designed to unearth young talents. My colleague, Elon Banande Fiamako, was there and has details in this report.
Think of names like David Odro, Benjamin Chevagnon, and most recently, Abdoulaye Norte. These are players that have benefited from KGL Foundation and the 17 Interregional Coach Championship. This year we'll see the 5th edition of the tournament, which kick-started in 2021. President of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kweku, executive council members and top officials of the KGL Foundation were all in attendance at the lunch. Keto Kweku lauded KGL Foundation for their continuous support towards unearthing young talents in the country.
5 years ago, when nobody in Ghana believed in the vision of the Football Association, KGL Foundation came through for us. Can we give it to them, please? So my sincerest appreciation goes to the leadership led by Elliot for your commitment towards the revival of the Ghanaian game, especially and most importantly, your avowed commitment towards offering these young boys the opportunity to realize their dreams. Thank you.
He also reiterated the Ghana Football Association's commitment to nurturing and growing potentials of young players.
The Football Association has taken bold steps to support coast football, including but not limited to the provision of footballs, of trophies, and most importantly, ensuring that there's free registration of up to 90 players per club across the U13, U15, and U17 categories. Again, through our broad consultations at the National Juvenile Committee level, and also working closely with our RFAs, we decided to accept the usage of the National Health Insurance cards as a valid ID for player registration. Beyond this, we have also offered free training for 900 Coles coaches across the length and breadth of our country. 300 have already received such a training. And this year, we intend to continue with this policy.
The championship is also aimed at promoting talent discovery, fostering regional unity, supporting youth development, and nurturing future stars from the district level to the national phase. This year, KGL will provide each participating team with 60 kits, 30 home jerseys and 30 away jerseys. The teams will also receive football bibs and cones.
On Monday, we brought you the story which we described as an audacious leap. One student at St. Augustine, at age 16, despite his physical impairment, is jumping heights of 1.73 meters. This time around, we are bringing the story of other athletes, para-athletes. These two young men, despite their physical impairment, they are defying odds and participating in field and track events. My colleague Razak Musbao has details in this report.
In a world where the odds seem stacked against them, two remarkable athletes are proving that disability is not inability. This is the story of Edmond Governor and Amos Ayanga, Ghana's rising para-athletes determined to make a mark in the world of sports. Edmond Governor lost his arm in an accident, a moment that changed his life forever. But rather than give up, he found strength in para-sports, competing in shot put and javelin while leading the national team as captain. His journey hasn't been easy, but his talent is undeniable.
I was introduced to it by a physio. I actually had an accident. I was involved in a road traffic accident, and I think in my rehabilitation, That was where I met a physio, we were talking, and then he introduced me to sport as part of my rehab, you know. Through the process, we got through it and he introduced it to me. And then I got interested and then read more about it. So after my recovery, I decided to take it up as you know, an interest to explore and see how it's going to help me. I needed to get someone to counsel me on what exactly I would do. And then I approached the NPC at the time. It's been about 7 years now. So I spoke to them about it, and then they counseled me through, looked at my strengths and where they feel I can do well, and then the interest that I had most, which was athletics. And then I took up athletics. And then even the athletics had some process that I had to go through and all of that. So it has been a mixed feeling.
Amos Ayanga's journey mirrors that of Edmond. He, too, lost an arm, but refused to let it define his future. Today, he's pushing boundaries and sprinting a long jump. His speed and determination have already earned him opportunities to represent Ghana.
Well, way back in school, primary, we used to come to Ewak to train, to do competitions here, inter-schools. So, more times when I came, actually, I was the best athlete among them.
And you would want to stay for that full feature, which will be airing on the AM show tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Now, let's move on and do other stories that has to do with parasports still, because the Paralympic Committee, they have set up a new federation called Paraswimming. My colleague, Haruna Mubarak, who was there, has details in this report.
Singular task to swear these beautiful officers in to office.
The inaugural ceremony took place at the National Paralympic Committee headquarters in Accra, where members of the newly constituted board were formally introduced. The association, which will operate under the umbrella of the National Paralympic Committee, aims to create opportunities for swimmers with disabilities across the country and prepare them for local and international competitions. The board is led by Aisha Farida Idris, who becomes the first president of the Ghana Paraswimming Association. She will be supported by an experienced team committed to pushing the parasports agenda, including Joy Sports Haruna Mubarak, who is appointed Deputy Communications Director of the outfit.
Yes, so paraswimming has been in existence, but it's like we've not gotten to a higher level. So when you look at the members that we've been able to assemble, you see that they are very resourceful people who are way in the corporate Ghana. We have the marketing manager of Trillium here as the Secretary General. We have the former presiding member for Tema West. We have someone also from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we have a lot of people in here, CEOs also here. So you can tell that we have resourceful people that when we join our heads together, we'll make a headway.
The Ghana Paraswimming Association is expected to work closely with MPC Ghana, the Ministry of Sports and Recreation, international federations, and other stakeholders to scout, nurture, and promote talent in paraswimming with a long-term vision of competing at the Paralympic Games.
That's your sports for now. Head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. The AM show continues right after this.
Welcome to the news review segment on the AM show. The AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. And if you're thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in, then Waylead Company Limited is that choice for such investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit in Accra. And the newest development, Willow Lane, is where you really want to put your money because elegance will always meet tranquility in the heart of Accra. At Waylead, we provide quality housing at an affordable cost with also flexible payment option. In addition to 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. Give us a call now on these numbers: 0240-111-119 or 0504-499-999. You can also visit our website at www.waylead.org. Our guest joining us this morning, we have former president of GJA, Afel Moni, in studio with us. Good morning, sir.
Cedi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. We also have some guests joining us on Zoom. We have Dr. Kwame Asante. He's head for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, good morning. I don't know why I found your name
Cedi,
there.
And good morning to my brother and friend, Mr. Moni. And then, of course, Ben, you are my man. Good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Doc.
It's good to have you.
Later on, we'll have another guest joining us in studio. We have Parkwesi Eduafo Abedu, development analyst, and he also joined us via Zoom. So now that we know who our guests are, let's get the conversation going, Ben.
Well, I couldn't help but notice that we're all in different shades of gray this morning. Dr. Hassan Asante, it appears the Zoom connection didn't work. He didn't get the memo, but I'm in charcoal gray, and I feel Money in a shade of gray. Sweetie Abachi, you're also in gray. It's a grayscale this morning. Anyway, let's take your quick thoughts. I think I'll start with Dr. Kwame Hassan Asante, who joins us via Zoom. What are your thoughts for us this morning, Doc?
Yeah, this morning, I want to look at the floods and the devastating effect of it in Accra and other places of the country. This problem has been perennial, and we always lament about it and do very little to address this problem, because I would have thought that for the pain, the trouble, and all that we go through relative to this problem, authorities would have put their foot down and ensure that this problem, if it is not kicked out, is minimized to lessen the pain of the ordinary man. But we are seeing a different story. Every time the problem keep on exacerbating, and it creates all manner of problems for us. Just a little drop of water from the skies, and we are in distress. We cannot continue to be like this. We have to act as a serious society which is always ready to deal with problems head on. And I have seen the problem from the perspective of poor planning, as if there are no planning officers in this country, which I know they are. So what is happening here? I can't get it. Now, people build anyhow, and you ask yourself, do we have planning authorities who draw salary from government payroll? Another problem I see is engineering problems. Sometimes you realize that there are bits and pieces of engineering problems that we are struggling to deal with. But why should it be when we have a whole team of engineers looking at this? And of course, lack of enforcement of the rules regarding sanitation and regarding the building of properties in this city. It is a problem, because I can't understand why we cannot ensure that there is regulatory capacity of the state and it is being enforced. Rules are enforced to the letter. You see all these things happening, and the last problem I've seen with it is our attitudes. Attitude towards sanitation, how we flood the place with refuse and all that. Anytime it rains, people, you see them dumping refuse in drainage and the rest of them. We create problems, and at the end of the day, it comes to hunters. The last of it is political will. There are buildings that are standing in the way of water. There are buildings that are not supposed to be placed where they are. Instead of the authorities making sure that they go down, there is always lack of political will. We as a society must rise up and deal with these problems head on.
Interesting thoughts. I just want to add this for your brief reflection. You know, the AMA, the mayor of Accra, are trying to decongest the city as well in terms of moving traders from medians, road medians, from the shoulders of roads and all of that. What do you make of that drive?
It is a good call. It must be sustained, and then they do it. But my problem is that if you see, anytime a new government is in office, these are measures, one of the measures that they want to implement. Get into election, they allow people to sell anywhere, because when you touch them, you touch one vote and all that. We have to be consistent and be firm with the rules. Laws are nothing but what the rules that regulate the conduct of society and make life better. It's a useful instrument to what guide society. So if we make the laws and will not enforce them, we must as well not make them.
All right, thank you for those thoughts. Afilmoni?
I would like to take a synoptic look at...
synoptic, huh?
Yeah.
Not the Gospels, but...
at the apology rendered by former Vice President.
Oh, in London, in the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. Muhammadu Baumia.
Right.
It's an exercise in perfect timing. But for the apology to be effective, it must pass the test of sincerity. I'm inclined to believe that he's sincere about his apology. It must pass the test of specificity. Why are you apologizing? Apologizing for what? And he's come up to say sorry about some of the economic failures which inflicted hardships of gargantuan proportions on the Ghanaian. And the backlash was the massive vote against him and his party. The apology to also pass the test of responsibility. And again,
so did it pass the test of specificity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sincerity, check. Specificity, check.
Yeah. Responsibility. He's taking responsibility for the loss of the party, which is very good. Empathy. He's put himself in the shoes of people who are mourning, who are grieving. And then the willingness to change. Changing from the policy failures which ignited the biting bitter cost of living crisis, and which also saw the electoral outcome. And whilst at it, he should avoid comments and statements which will serve as a magnet for people to throw verbal stones at him.
Like what? What he's been saying now, that the
exactly.
there's nothing this current administration is doing, and that it's all on the back.
I would have thought that he would have waited for the dust to die, to settle before coming out with what he did. And he's a consummate intellectual, and intellectuals like debate, and debates are the lifeblood of deliberative democracy such as ours. But as much as possible, you should avoid igniting debate or joining debate which can be weaponized to rake up his deep wounds inflicted by the electoral outcome. So these are my thoughts for.
Those are some very interesting thoughts he just shared. What sincerity, specificity, responsibility, empathy, and the willingness to change. That's something interesting.
Talking about debates, yesterday I was saying to myself that I like the conversations these days. We went from lamentations of how hard things are, how the Cedi is doing badly because of Russia-Ukraine war, COVID-19, and now we are fighting to take credit. Everyone wants to take credit for how well the Cedi is doing. That's the arguments that are pouring in. Our streets are being cleaned up, and traders and hawkers themselves, pedestrians are saying, some of them are saying they like it, I like that the conversations have a more positive outlook than some months back, So yeah, I like the debates coming in. And so let's get into the newspapers. I have the Daily Graphic newspaper. And on the front page, nation risks more revenue losses. Tech-led tax systems key. Experts at National Dialogue. That was the UPSA National Dialogue on tackling tax revenue leakages in Ghana. We also have break short-term development planning cycle. The President charges National Development Planning Committee. And that is the newly reconstituted one. Ghana Card blocks prison graduates from national service. Local government minister cautions public against Boko conflict commentaries. The paper is very thick this morning, so I'll blaze through some of the major stories in here. I want to start from the President's call on the National Development Planning Committee to break the short-term planning cycle. He says, quote, "Your task is to craft a plan that finally liberates Ghana from the limitations of our past and illuminates a bold path for future generations." That is President Mahama when he inaugurated the 43-member 8th Governing Board of the NPC at the Jubilee House in Accra yesterday. So that's my first story. The second one is Ghana Card blocks prison graduates from national service. And all the 63 inmates of the Nsawam medium security prison who graduated from the University of Cape Coast will not be able to undertake their mandatory one-year national service because they don't have the Ghana cards, which is a prerequisite national identification needed to undertake the service. And so they're appealing to authorities, to the committee, to the Parliamentary Committee on Human Rights to help them, to intervene in a way to help them undertake their national service because they've gone through all that work to graduate and all that. Then my third story, Shraj CRI, that is Charles Wright International, object to Ghana Immigration Services evacuation of migrant beggars. And they're saying in a swift action, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice and non-governmental organization Child Rights International have questioned the approach, which it believed risks violating both local and international laws. I mean, I think they're saying that since the nation's human rights obligations extended to undocumented migrants, our approach gives us a bad look. And I think I'll end on this story here. Sam George says, prioritize women for jobs. Quote, "To the agencies under the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, let me be candid. When you are presented with equally qualified candidates, choose the woman who shows promise. And this is a policy direction," he says. And I'll end it here, and let's get your reflections. Let me start from Zoom, and I'll come back to Mr. Money. Dr. Kwame Asante,
yes,
let me get your thoughts on these stories.
I'll start with women for jobs.
Yes.
It's a good call. Women have suffered over the years based on discrimination and all manner of practices that put them at the periphery of jobs and every important endeavor. So we should make it a point to enforce all the rules and make sure that women are brought to the limelight. We are not saying that just pick any woman, but women who are qualified. Please open doors for them so that they become part and parcel of the civilized society. It is important. Once we develop them, the benefit will be ours. And we should know that. We've seen women who are doing great things in this country, and they are representing the country as proper or pure ambassadors of this country outside. And when we come home, we want to shortchange them. I don't think it's right. We need to support them. But of course, we need the qualified ones and support those who are the fringes of our society to also come in. Shraj and Charles Wright's issues. Yeah. Children are very important. And if you read our constitution, the interest of the child is always paramount, right? And when I was a student at GIJ, I was the president for International Journalists for Children's Rights. So when you look at children, I am always close to them because they make the society. I am on the side of Shraj and Charles Wright, that yes, when we have rules that govern how we should handle such situation, we should be very careful so as to not to incur any bad name within the Committee of States, because these are some of the things that go against our human rights record, and also it goes against our international standards. Much as we want to maintain some sanity, we must also tread cautiously that we respect the rules of the game. It is the way to go. And then I also look at the prison graduates, and they are not giving opportunity to render national service. I ask the question that why would we want to make sure that they go through education, and after the education, what? We have some of them at UG who are mainly distance education students. There are some in my class and all that. Once they be able to go through that process successfully, I am sure there must be a process that will shepherd them into the field of national service. So this issue of national ID card should not be a problem when institutions are speaking to institutions prison service as an institution, speaking to what? NIA. This thing should be what? A thing of the past. And I believe that they should look at it and address it so that the where they find themselves will not be seen as what? We want to what? Suppress them.
Yeah.
Prisons are supposed to what? Revive people, improve their well-being, and then also when they finish their service, they are well integrated into the society to continue from where they left off.
There's one more. Break the short-term development planning cycle. The president's charging the newly reconstituted NPC board. Any comments on that? Yeah.
The development planning committee, that committee is an important one. They have done a lot of work, but we have seen very little finding expression in public life. Take, for instance, the issue of what? The development plan of this country. I recall Professor Mills' time, that team went around the country, did about, I think, 25 or 35-year development plan. What have we gained out of that? We want to see, for instance, political parties drawing their manifestos from that, so that whatever they have in mind would not be at variance with what the state also has in mind, so that we can work in tandem and then produce the results that we want. After all, the essence of research is to make society better. So if there is a whole lot of research sitting down there on the shelves of what? The development plan office, why are we not making use of it? We want to see the first step, political parties taking that document and making sure that whatever they have in terms of what their vision for the country dovetails into that omnibus plan, so that at the end of the day, we'll have value for money.
What's interesting on that story is that in the president's call, he also asked that they consolidate various existing development frameworks, including Ghana Beyond Aid, the Ghana at 100 initiative, and the Vision 2057 into a single actionable plan. I like that we are not completely doing away with something that wasn't under his administration or started with his government. You know, I think that
is how
really
governance ought to be.
Yeah.
It's a continuum, and that you have to continue from where one has left office. And if you read the Constitution, it's ingrained in there, telling us that whatever project, whatever policy that we put in place, we expect that the new government will take off and then also incorporate it, so that at the end of the day, we will ensure value for money and society will be the beneficiary of that exercise.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asasante. Mr. Moni, your
let me reinforce what my colleague journalist said. You know, he started as a journalist, and once a journalist, always a journalist. On the issue of development, Schumacher once said that development is not measured by broad streets or skyscrapers, but by, you know, measures which to address the needs, concrete needs, tangible needs of the people. And Dennis Goulet also said there are three goals of development. Bread, in our context, kenke, cassava, fufu, wache, and all that. Look at the vast lands with which we've been blessed, and yet we depend on other countries, Burkina Faso, for tomatoes. It's an indictment on our sense of responsibility and seriousness as a nation. So if we are not able to fix this basic need of bread, food, then we are joking with our development efforts. Dignity. Dignity comes from the Latin word dicus, which means dicus, ornament. So the most important aspect of any person is your dignity. Your most important asset is your dignity. Look at the level of indignity to which Ghanaians have been subjected to as a result of lack of food, lack of places of sleeping, accommodation, and all that. Look at the cost of rent in this country. Much is against the salaries of the average worker. A total mismatch. So unless and until we are able to fix this basic need, then again we are joking with our development efforts. And then freedom. Even though we are liberated, but many Ghanaians are in chains. So there's a need to address the three basic needs: food or bread, dignity, and freedom.
Thank you so much for that. I think you'll stick with me for the rest of the day. The other stories that we spoke about,
well,
the Ghana
let's
card
bring
blocking.
in, I don't know whether
He's
you...
not done with his
we have the punch.
No, also that's the only story we want to talk about.
Okay, so, yeah,
we talk about the Ghana card blocking prison graduates from doing the national service. We spoke about some judge asking that they should choose women when they are presented with the opportunity to employ either man or woman, and the woman is qualified or shows promise, you should pick the woman.
Let me start with women, because I have a soft spot for women. Because I was named after my grandmother, Arba Afilba.
Oh, so that's where the Afil comes from.
Yeah, yes, and Afilba. And development, again, without women play a central role, is incomplete.
I like that you're tying it to development.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is ingrained in theory and rooted in practice that what women can do, what men can do better. Just on my left is a lady who bears a sweet name and who is dazzling her audience with a professional dexterity. Yeah. So what men can do, women can do better.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the day a woman will assume the presidency. A woman will occupy the most consequential office in this land. And will compare with what the men have done. Many of the men who have led us have led us astray. They have led us into the ditch. So there's a need to be truthful to affirmative action, to expose as many women as possible. Look at our homes, the indispensable roles women play in our homes. Without them, our homes will not be homes. Our homes will be something else.
Just be houses.
Just be houses, brick and mortar. Yeah. So there's a need to push. This is a time for us to step up effort to ensure that women occupy strategic positions so that they use their God-given talent, which will accelerate our development in all dimensions. And prison graduates, nothing on earth should shackle prisoners, most of whom find themselves behind bars, not because of what they have done. The story of biblical Joseph is an example. Joseph did nothing. A lady gave him a scholarship, which he refused. He ended up in prison. From prison, became a prime minister in Egypt. So many people are in prison not because they committed any offense, but because the system is so unfair that they be confined to where they are. So nothing at all, and it bears repeating, nothing at all should shackle people in prison from attaining the highest height in life.
Thank you, Afilmoni, for those thoughts. And I don't know if our next guest listened to the stories that we're discussing now, but when I think you wanted to bring him in.
Yeah. Mr. Moni, I'm sure when I get to the daily gist and the story about the VP returning in 3 days' time, that would give you some...
Certainly, yes.
Definitely on the women's bit. But let's bring in Pakwesi Eduafo Abedu. He's a development analyst. Pakwesi, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Sweetie. I hope you guys are doing well. And good morning to my colleagues. Dr. Santi.
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Money, good morning.
Good morning.
It's the my lord for me. Okay, so Mr. Abedu, quick thoughts. You've not had your bite yet. I'll give you a minute, and then maybe you could reflect on some of the stories we've already done, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, very well. So I think that I wanted to give a quick reflection on the unemployment rate that we have in the country. That's my initial reflection. I think that it was staggering to hear the statistics with regards to the rate of unemployment in the country, 19%, and talking about underemployment, where we are looking at about 25%. That sums up to about 33%. And that means that about 1/3 of our active labor force are struggling to earn a decent living. They are struggling in terms of the kind of work they are doing, and even the satisfaction that they get with those that they have even had in terms of work. And so this, for me, it's more than unemployment. It's more of security and so many other social problems that we have in the country. And so I'm sure the government, the policymakers are listening to us. They are watching us this morning. I believe the private sector is also watching. I mean, all the active players are watching us this morning. We need to up our game and ensure that we absorb the teeming youth of unemployed young people in this country, absorb them so that we'll be able to have a better future for our people. If not, I think we are living on time bomb. So that's really my reflection, and I wish we take this issue as serious as possible.
Fair point you make there. Did you take into consideration some of the stories we've already looked at, the consolidation of national development? The president has been charging the NDPC that it's not just going to be what this administration has planned, but previous ones need to be consolidated so we have a national plan. There's been talk about women's role in development, the crucial role they play, and then there was also a reflection on sanitation and where we are. Is there anything you'd like to reflect on before we move to other papers?
Yes, very well. Let me start with the development planning aspect. You see, the one of the problems that we've had, and I heard Mr. Moni talking about it, I think Doug also did the same. It's about how isolated our development plans have been. The level of coordination, the level of integration in terms of our policy planning has been very poor. And so you find every institution trying to do its own thing without any coordinated framework. Yes, we have so many strategies in the past. We've had so many strategies in the past. I can recall the Ghana Poverty Reduction Strategy, both the paper 1 and 2, the Vision 2020 and all that. We have our own development plan looking at 2020, 63, and all the other development plans that we have. But you see, the plans are there, but each institution or all the institutions and the various sectors are doing their own thing. And so when it comes to the coordination, it becomes a big of a problem. And so once we are achieving some success in one area, the ripple effect or the other side will be that some other institutions, some other sectors will be suffering. We don't have a coordinated policy framework. And it's not just about the policies, even in terms of institutional collaboration, in terms of the actors involved, in terms of the vision that we all want to achieve, the coordination is not there. And so we don't do much when it comes to our development. And so whatever planning, whatever interventions, whatever systems we have, it's a reflection of what we have or what we are experiencing as a country. It's a reflection of how poor our sanitation conditions are. It's a reflection of how poor the interventions, the mechanisms we are developing to address unemployment. And almost every facet of our problem that you find in this country, you can attribute it one way or the other to poor policy and policy coordination. And so we're happy the president is talking about this with the National Development Planning Commission now. There's a need for us to bring our development planning under one umbrella and ensure that all efforts are synchronized within that space.
All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Afil Moni, let's look at your papers.
The Punch take precautionary measures to prevent floods. Open the door to dignity. It is backward to keep public washrooms under lock and key. Echuma Bieja South MC disappointed the prevailing condition at his office. But Richum, who is a presidential aspirant of MPP, says he has not endorsed any flag bearer hopeful. And Caesar Ofusai Champion receives unanimous endorsement as Ofinsu North DC. That's the Punch and the publisher. CIR blasts GIS, that's Child Rights International, blasts Ghana Immigration Service over ruthless beggars soup. Are forcing charges Gold Board to anchor economic transformation. It comes with a picture of members of the board, Gold Board Advisory Board, and sandwiched in the middle is my own sister, who is the Queen Mother of Makasim Charita area, Nana Mamisa, looking glacially beautiful as usual. Ayariga condemns gruesome murder of NHIA director in the north. Pray that this will not, this will not reignite the problem over there. Dinner with petitioners, lawyers, citizen demands dissolution of CJ committee about Sorry Rubbish's claim. I think I agree with Sorry. Having a dinner does not point to the fact that they're going to skew anything in favor of anybody. So I think it's a baseless call for the committee to be dissolved. So these are the stories in the Punch.
Right.
And
so before you get to the main stories, whichever ones you pick, let's quickly go on the ground. Yesterday we brought you day one of that decongestion exercise in the Central Business District of Accra. We're there again this morning. James Aveji is on the ground. James, if you can hear me, what's happening this morning?
Well, Ben, we are here to find out how the city is complying to the exercise that has started yesterday. From yesterday, we were told that the AMA team is supposed to continue the exercise today and the next 4 days. The briefing is that this is going to be a 5-day exercise. Just to recap what has happened from yesterday, the Accra Mayor himself, as well as the MC for Koliklote Municipal Assembly, led the AMA task force yesterday to undertake what they call the decongestion exercise, which is targeted at getting traders off the main street in order to create free-flowing traffic for both vehicles as well as pedestrians. And so that is the exercise that happened through the principal street of the Central Business District, as well as circle all the way to Kaneshi in the course of yesterday. Now, this morning, when we arrived in Accra at about 6:02 a.m., what I have noticed at the Tudu area is that the road is still clear. Traders have set up their businesses on the pavement of the road, which we have been told by the operations manager of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly that they are allowed to set up on the pavement. And so both vehicular and human traffic was flowing at the Tudu area. The change we've noticed there was the fact that when you notice you are coming from the Accra Technical University area towards Tudu, the pavement all the way in front of the Ghana Publishing House as well as the Kimbo Senior High School has now been occupied by the traders, which the Director of Operations have told us that they have allowed them to take the pavement. The only strict instruction is that they do not bring their wares onto the main street, and they need to also create some walkway on the pavement as well for pedestrians. And so that's what we've seen. Right here where I'm standing is I'm told the Kantamanto traffic light, and the road you see behind me is the circle at the Braka Kingsway all the way to the Kantamanto area. You see behind me traffic still freely flowing this morning for both vehicle and humans. You see people walking on the shoulders of the road. Some traders here in the median here trying to ply their trade here. And if you watch this side to my right, that is the road leading to Accra Brewery. And you see traders also set up in the median of the road. If the new information we are getting this morning is anything to stand by, then we would assume that there is no offense there where the women have set up in the median there, on the pavement in the median there to trade. And so this is the situation. If the camera pans all the way down to the UTC area, traffic is also flowing. There's a van standing in the middle there. I'm sure the police is having some interaction with the driver. The policeman there directing traffic towards the Tudu area. I'll take you to the Tudu street proper to see what is happening. But this is the situation here. You see cars moving at the Kantamanto traffic light. Yeah, wanted to know how is the journey this morning? I hope the traffic is okay.
Yeah. Traffic is about them the man boy because first now about now traffic good to me now for about 30 minutes. Now want me go. But you see the police for my yard a bomb about so.
Is it in any way affecting your business?
Oh, there be. In fact, yeah, because first now do what we see now. My phone I share edwa e kwano tesa na. O ka so mu fa edwa na ma share kwano. Omu fe nko side see kra no. Ka so be ka kire no. Anya kra mo ha be to nsa kra bo no. But you see how the kwano dem this see my yard.
I see. And so Ben, that's a driver there who tells me that traffic is flowing well, and he appreciates the work that has been done so far to create space for them to move freely. Telling me initially the women would have set up on the road, and any attempt by their drivers to get them off would be proven futile. Uncle, good morning.
Morning.
How is it going today?
How
is the traffic? And so the driver here will not speak to us, trying to get more of them to get their position on what is happening. Boss, good morning.
Morning.
How is it going?
Oh, cool.
How is the traffic flowing?
Oh, it's good. Everything is fine. So one thing is worrying me is my mommy and my sisters, because some people take loan from banks. How are you going to pay that loan?
I see. But for the traffic on the road for your work, this area, do you use this area?
That one there is good. That one there is good. It's good. That one there is good. So I want to tell
I see a police in the car. Are you under arrest?
My license is spy. Yeah, he told me, he said I should go to office. So I'm going to office.
I see.
Yeah, that's why.
That's a driver there. He's in a bit of trouble. He's driving with an expired license, and the police is taking him to the police station for the law to take its course. And so that's the situation here, Ben. Trying to take you to the to-do stretch properly so that we can know what exactly is happening there on the to-do stretch. The road on the to-do stretch is also clear this morning. Drivers are plying the route freely without any interference from the traders. You see this cars here waiting to cross the road. And so this is a to-do stretch, and you see cars moving towards the to-do area and others coming from the to-do area to the traffic lights here. And it is free-flowing traffic this morning here at the Kantamanto intersection here in Accra, Ben.
Well, James, we're grateful that you've brought us the scoop there. Of course, from time to time, we'll come back to you to get the latest developments. You spoke about that police vehicle, and I'm sure the AMA officials will be on the ground. They'll have their boots on the ground this morning. As and when they do, we'll reconnect to you. But that's my colleague, James Aveji, right there from the Central Business District of Accra. It's day 2 of that decongestion exercise. Let's come back into the studio now. And I feel morning, any reactions, quick reactions in respect of what has been happening before we get to your paper?
I think the major takeaway from the very good piece of reportage, the news that traffic is flowing. This is a clear departure from yesteryears when the whole place was choked, and it took drivers to warn that they're going to do their services for officialdom acted swiftly. And many people are asking, and this is a fundamental question, how sustainable are these measures to ensure that traffic flows in the center of town, the heartbeat of business in Gandra's Mokala area. And we all know that political will in the past has been so conspicuous by its absence. getting to election time, people are allowed to do all kinds of things because of votes. And as Dr. Asante said, you touch one person, you lose one vote. And politicians will prioritize vote over what is needful to ensure that the safety of pedestrians is guaranteed and business is also allowed to take its natural course. So we are praying that sustainability will win at the end of the day. Otherwise, it will amount to nothing. All this effort will amount to nothing. And the media, in the name of comprehensive journalism, we are told that the exercise will last 5 days. After 5 days, we should go back there and look at how the place looks.
Right.
Who is refusing or who is negligent in doing his or her duty. We should expose all those characters to ensure that officialdom also deals with them.
All right. Doc and Mr. Abeidu, when Money gets into his stories, you can share with us any brief take you have on this before you get to those reactions. But let's get into your stories.
I think, again, Dr. Asante has touched on that, the floods and what we do every year to ensure that we contain the flood waters and save lives. Okay. It's sad to note that as many as 3 people, even one life is one too many. As many as 3 people.
4 yesterday. 4 was reported yesterday on the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, 4 lost their lives under tragic circumstances in my Adencha area, and never again should we be subjected to this kind of mourning.
There was a gentleman who nearly passed. I was talking about that video yesterday, with the sweeping waters, and when it rains and sometimes there are dents or holes in the road and you're unaware. In fact, I was sharing yesterday that it nearly happened to me many years ago because I was using the stretch. The water was very high, but I was trying to, and someone had to caution me because there was a little, one of those openings there. You see, sometimes there are slabs on one of those openings. And if you fall in there with the water rushing, you're gone. This gentleman nearly lost his life. Nearly.
So all this reinforces the need to intensify efforts to scale up flood risk management systems, construct more drainage systems, improve upon our drainage systems.
Right.
And there's also the need to sound warnings and in a timeless manner to residents so that they will take precautions. We've come a long way from those years when the then meteorological agency will wait for the rain to be pitter-pattering on people's roofs. But they will rush to GBC with weather forecasts. Now we can leverage technology, AI, and data analytics to warn people in advance about potential rainfalls and how damaging they will be, so that residents will take precaution. So the authorities, once again, kudos. We hear they fixed the perennial flooding on Kaswa Road, and this is a big plus for them, but other areas are begging for a quick intervention and lasting solution to their flooding issues.
All right. Is there anything else you want to do from there before we go to...
Child Rights International, my son, Bright Apia, has sounded his concern about the manner in which the foreign nationals were...
The Ghana Immigration Service, and especially Nigerians.
Nigerians, yeah. I think there's a need to square the need to decongest certain areas. They need to also look at the dignity of their children. But the streets, especially in certain, they're like a 37 area, right in front of Jubilee House. See these foreign nationals littering all over.
In front of the 37 hospital, in front of the Trotro station, in front of Max Mart, all the way.
Total assault. There was no way we were going to allow this to continue perpetually. So it's a step in the right direction, but there's a need to strike a delicate balance between protecting, safety protocols of the children, at the same time ensuring that our streets are
I want us to try and save time. So if I see the story there, dinner with petitioner's lawyer on
yeah,
that,
dinner
if we can do that so that then we get the reactions and come to the last batch of papers.
A Ghanaian citizen, Alfred Abebiokumi, has formally petitioned the President of the Republic to dissolve the 5-member committee constituted to investigate 3 petitions against the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Arabai Saba Saki Tokono. According to the petition, approximately at 4:13 p.m. on the same day of that May 19, Mr. Kumi raised serious concerns about the impartiality of the committee following a private dinner meeting involving members of the committee and a legal representative of one of the petitioners. In the petition, Mr. Kumi alleged that on that evening, shortly after the committee held its first meeting, Justice Gabriel Scott Pwamwang, who serves as the chairman of the committee, Samuel Kwame Adibu Estiedu, a member of the committee, and Yoni Kulendi, a fellow Supreme Court judge, were seen dining with Thaddeus Sori, counsel for one of the petitioners, at the Santoku restaurant located at the Villaggio in the airport residential area. According to the petitioner, the strange meeting of the 4 persons who are keenly interested in and have played and indeed continue to play critical roles initiated in the processes of the removal of the Chief Justice excited curiosity of some persons in the restaurant. Indeed, they were overheard discussing matters relating to the petition.
Okay, so that's what's there. And there's a quick response, which I think that paper captures as well.
Yeah.
But it's also made its way online. And Thaddeus Sori has responded, and the paper captures him as well. And he says it is a monstrous lie. No such meeting took place. It is very easy to fact check that. We know those who get justice through negotiation. That is it. So, of course, if there is any truth to that matter, I'm sure there will be some follow-ups.
But if it did take place, I don't think it's a strong case to pursue.
Right. Dr. Hassan Asante, we have to, minimize the comments, but what are your thoughts on these matters? Briefly.
Yeah, I think I have also read Thaddeus' response, and that's it. But it brings to sharp focus Apollo 568. And,
Doc.
The matters are...
Yes. Where you are taking us.
I wish to say to Sweetie.
Yes. We'll see how, all this thing pan out. Right. I want to look at the, the washrooms and then the keys that are kept out of public use. Right. It is important to look at this in context. Sometimes people keep such, rooms unkempt, and people decide that, look, one way to ensure is to put it under lock and key. But when you need it, it must be presented to you. I think that should be the way out. But I want to stretch the conversation a little further to look at even public places of convenience in this country. I tell you, it's a sorry story. You walk through public places and you are in difficulty. You need to attend to nature's call. I tell you, you have no place to tend to. I experienced once when I was driving from Legon to my home at Oyarefa. Had it not been the case that I know the road so well that I was able to, dodge all the traffic, and then I was also driving my own car, what would have been the situation? And I look at it from the perspective of the poor man, the ordinary man in the street who want to travel from, say, Accra to, say, Adenta, and there's a problem. Where will he or she tend to? And that brings to sharp focus. You recall at a point in time, Dr. Maumia was saying that I'll build public toilets and all that, and people ridiculed that. That was a good public policy, right? That go to advanced countries at the bus stop, at very important public places, there are places for convenience, that when you are hot, you can rush in there and then save yourself. Is that the situation here?
Right.
And last time I saw something on TV where bus from Kumasi was traveling to Accra, and then there was a story like that. And mostly when people are caught in between towns, and they are virtually in the bush. They are driving, and then all that they need is jump to the bush. Is that the way to go? Please, let us think about that. Issue
All
of
right.
outsourcing and the gold board.
Doc, I would encourage that you be a bit more brief with the rest of your comments.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I am happy with the results we are getting from gold board. That within a short space of time, we've raking 2.7 billion. A little will take us out of what? IMF. I believe that's the way to go. We must ensure that whatever we get it, we put it into developing this country. There are a lot of people without jobs, a lot of people without basic needs of life. There are a lot of people without what? All the important things that we need. And I think that the state will put money that they derive from that to proper use. Issue of flood and its effect, we have talked about it. And then all that we want to see is that we must make sure that this time around, we want to put in certain measures that will address the problem head on.
All right. Paul Abedu, quick thoughts.
Yes, Bernard, so first thing I want to talk about is that...
Benjamin. But if you can do it in a minute, I'd be grateful.
Very well. So with the issue of the gold board and the way we are politicizing it as in terms of, who conceived the idea and all that, I think we need to put a stop to that. Government it's a process. Clearly, maybe one government brought out the concept, the idea through the good for oil policy or the other, the reserve policy. And then current government is looking at regulating it to making sure that all the illegalities regards to the gold trade is blocked. And so we need to just, we don't want to play politics about this. All we need to understand is that the gold board is there to help us and to also ensure that our forex and then our currency is stable and all the benefit that we get from it. The second point I want to talk about is the decongestion exercise. Look, our concern has really been about sustainability, and I think that is what everybody is talking about. We need to understand this, that the areas that we are referring to, the Accra and the Accra Central and the Kantamati, all the areas, these are serious hubs for government businesses. And so we cannot behave like ostriches. These areas are hosting so many government institutions. At the same time, they are a commercial center. There's an incentive for people to move to that area to do their business and for people to get crowded over there.
Right.
And so if you want to make it sustainable, we need to ensure that that incentive, that reason which motivates people to go there is moved. And that is why I'm happy about the president talking about having a second city where probably we can talk about our commercialization, our commercial businesses or commercial operations in there, so that whilst Accra, for example, will serve as administrative capital, we have other areas which will also look at our trade and the commercial hub for the country. The flood and its related issues. For me, I agree with my colleagues. It's all about planning. It's all about the laws. We need to plan well and we need to make sure that the law works. I mean, if somebody is not permitted to build at a place that is supposed to build, we don't have to allow that. And so we need to let the laws work, and we also need to plan our infrastructure and all the other things that is needed to ensure that floods are prevented.
Thank you, Mr. Abedu. I'll just leave you with my headlines, and Sweetie, I believe, has one more paper. The Ghanaian Times, getting rid of street beggars, uphold children's rights, dignity, CRI, that's Child Rights International. Ghana committed to reformed business environment, according to President Mahama. Venture Capital Trust Fund invest $359.6 million in 20 years. On the back page, GHS, that's the Ghana Health Service, partners with media and Gambaga to prevent cholera outbreak. And stakeholders discuss sustainable aviation fuels. In the Daily Gist newspaper, Veep returning in 3 days' time after 2 months treatment abroad. Afilmoni, I told you that was coming. Yeah. We are not perfect, former Vice President Baumia says so. Goldbot tasked to chart new path in gold trading. And then CJ Probe Committee rejects live coverage. So basically, the 5-member tribunal investigating suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Arabai Saki Tokonu has rejected her call for the proceedings to be broadcast live or open to the public. You know, the Constitution says it must be held in camera. Those are the quick thoughts. Sweetie?
Well, the last paper here is the Accra Times. On the front page, the governing board of Gold Board inaugurated. Help Mahama to reset Ghana's economy, according to Ato Forson. Nation mourns former Council of State member as Paul Afoko pays glowing tribute to late dad, describes him as a man of many titles. And Minority tasks Minister to tackle fuel supply to IPPs urgently. And good news for fuel tanker drivers. NPA boss promises conditions of service. And still on the Paul Afoko story, a remarkable granddad that is coming from the grandchildren. And that will be it from me. Yeah, that's it for the Accra Times.
Right. Before we take your final thoughts, Reverend Lati sent in this. He says, "Good morning, buddy. I feel you are making the point about women together with Sweetie. The Hebrew word for a woman is Adama. The ground or the earth is called Adama. So Adam was made from Adama. It is so true that every human being came through a woman. Any nation that values Adama, that is woman, will prosper." That's his
good news.
Take.
Yeah.
Also, a very happy birthday. This is coming through from Samuel Kojo Brace. He says, so Mrs. Emma K. Baby Somia Kwao, co-head of sales, Databank Financial Services. You are 40 today. We pray that the good Lord continue to shower his blessings upon your life. We're proud of you and we thank God for your life. It's from your husband, Emmanuel Somia Kwao Jr., and your lovely kids, Vania, Emma Lily, Emmanuel, and Vanessa Josephine. So Emma K. Baby Somia Kwao, happy 40th birthday to you. If we have any parting shots, this would be the time, 30 seconds each, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Doc.
Yes, I am happy the Vice President is okay, coming back. Hooray! I'm very happy because I have always been looking forward to a woman occupying such a high position. Oh, God has blessed us with one. Let us help her to succeed. And then that will encourage other women to take higher positions, as my brother Afemoni said, that we want a woman to even occupy the seat of what the president, as the president of this republic.
All right.
All of us should support. All of us will die one day. But when we are saying, please don't send us to our graves early good time. The good Lord will send us there when the need arises or when it is time.
Doc, let me just sneak in this for the sake of time. You know, UTAG is taking on the AG on the back of, it's a conversation we're having today. Those claims that some money was drawn that was not meant for paying staff and all of that. UTAG has a statement on that. What's your stance on it? If you can just briefly give me something.
Yeah, are you talking about the Auditor General?
Yes.
Yes, it is. The university has come out clearly that is inaccurate, so that the auditor did not incorporate into the report what it needs to do, because there's the IGF bit and then the other side. So that is clear, and I stand with the university that the records must be straightforward, and then it takes the university out of that bad press.
Right.
Or that.
Right.
If there is a genuine mistake on the part of the Auditor General, he should quickly do the needful so that we continue to save our alma mater.
All right.
Make it the best of our schools.
Thank you.
I move on to the CJ probe.
Okay.
The live coverage. Just 1 second on it.
Right.
The live coverage where people were talking about. I was surprised to hear from even lawyers who were saying that, can we go public and all that? I'm not a lawyer. They have superior knowledge. But the little knowledge I have is that the lawyers will tell you what is the law and what ought to be. Currently, what we see in the Constitution, is it not that it should be done in camera? And then is there anything wrong with what in camera hearing? I don't get it. So I'm happy the court has finally come out. The committee has finally come out that, and I'm not sure that people want to say that if these things happen in camera, the woman is not going to justice. Is not going to get justice. Let us remember that we are not talking about ordinary woman.
Right.
First a lawyer, second a Supreme Court judge, and then the Chief Justice. He has superior knowledge of the law that nobody can intimidate.
Thank you. Shall we do Pakwesi Abedu?
Yeah, so Gold Board. You see, every development that is sustainable looks at both economic progress and environmental protection, of course, the social side of things. We don't have to be carried away with the gains we are getting from the Gold Board in terms of the gold proceeds and how it's affecting our currency and all that. we are equally mindful about the other side of it, and that is the environmental protection component of the gold mining. And so I want to implore that the gold board shouldn't be carried away with all the gains and accolades that we are giving them, but they should equally be mindful of where the gold is coming from and what environmental footprint, impact are being left out there. Galamsey now, recently we are not talking about Galamsey so much, but the problem is still persisting and is still threatening our lives.
Right.
And so they should be mindful as a board and see how we can balance the two for a sustainable development.
All right.
I'm happy for the return of the VIP on the basis of, for the president. I'm particularly happy that the VIP is coming back because I think that the president would have had a very negative PR when it comes to, some issues surrounding him. You remember at a point when he was the vice president, his president died, and then later on his vice president also died, and recently the VP was not feeling well. It wouldn't have been good for the president. So I'm particularly happy the VP is back just for the sake of the president. At least it saves him some peace of mind. That's the letter I want to share this morning. That's
interesting reading into that matter. I feel money. Final word.
Election 2028 is gaining traction in the media. And it's clear, as night follows day, that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia will pursue another tilt at the presidency. And we are told that an NDC communicator has endorsed Deborah for election 2028. We are also told that Ashidun Ketia is also lacing his boots. So let's see what happens in 2020. Let me see the opportunity to wish professional gem, Larry Pakwesi Moses, all the best. He's recuperating. He went through some medical challenges. He's now okay. May the Lord be with him and his newly wedded wife. God bless him wherever he is.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us for the news review segment. We had Afel Moni, former president of GJA, in studio here with us. Via Zoom, Dr. Kwame Asasante, political scientist and head, Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We also had Pakwesi Eduafola Beidu, development analyst. And don't forget, the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at affordable cost with flexible payment options. When we return from the break, we get into our big stories. Please stay.
Welcome back. This is the AM show, and it's proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Coming up next, we serve you AM Business, and the Ghana incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending is spearheading a transformative initiative to turn sesame farming into a dynamic, export-oriented industry. By providing financial support, technical assistance and risk mitigation tools to farmers and agri-businesses, Girsal aims to unlock the untapped potential of sesame as a high-value cash crop. James Deshen has more in this report.
Sesame seed is emerging as one of Ghana's promising non-traditional export crops with growing demand in international markets, especially Asia and the Middle East. The seeds are high in demand globally, used for oil, snacks, and health products. Ghana produces an estimated 50,000 metric tons annually, yet much of the sector remains informal, under-mechanized, and underfunded. Girsal, in line with its mandate to de-risk agricultural financing, is exploring intervention pathways to support the sector.
Sesame seeds is a hidden treasure in that it has a lot of potentials, but we are unable to tap into that potentials. Globally, the global market demands about $5.6 billion of sesame seeds per annum. Nigeria is doing about 3.6% of the global demand. But when you come to Ghana, we are just doing less than 1% of the global market shares. This means that we have to do more. We have what it takes to produce sesame seeds. Its production, it will interest you to know that it has a very short gestation period. It also is more resilient to harsh conditions than most of the crops that we do in Ghana. We have the land, we have labor, and we have what it takes to produce more. So Gesal realized that this commodity and this produce has a lot of potential, but we are not doing more at that side. So about a year ago, as part of our strategies, we decided to initiate its development to see whether sesame seeds can be produced economically in Ghana. We started a trial to test the agronomic activities, test the yield, test the cost, and even assess the challenges that are associated with the production of sesame. Once we are able to complete this trial section or trial phase, we will support the agribusinesses by developing the protocol and the business case, business analysis for them to understand how it is produced economically and the costs associated with it. Once they understand all these things, we believe that the businesses will be well positioned to produce sesame seeds to meet export demands.
The crop's drought resistance and adaptability make it ideal for cultivation in Ghana's northern ecological zones. Now, Gesal is stepping in with a bold vision. The organization is working to unlock finance, improve quality, and link local farmers to global markets.
Yes.
You cut it here.
Yes.
And then turn it.
The upside down. Then when it opens,
dry. If it's dry, no.
Then it
will come.
Yeah.
That's why you have to get either
you bundle it. Yes.
Tapoli or cement, so that you protect the seed.
I see. Yeah.
Because of the refilling, so some are delayed.
Because of the refilling.
Yes.
So I was telling you that the harvesting is also another experiment on
its own. The exact week of harvesting can increase your margins by 5%.
Yes. Can change that. In rice production, we call something half-field grain. Somebody can harvest his rice. You see it that way.
With a trial in the Volta region, Gesal intends to collaborate with banks to develop tailored loan products for smallholders and SMEs in the sesame value chain.
We are bringing the banks, the financial institutions on board. Today we are bringing the agribusiness community also on board to come and see what we have done so far in the past year and understand where we are coming from and where we want to be. We believe that once this trial is successful, we will be able to stimulate more lending by the financial institutions to unlock more funding for these businesses to produce sesame seeds for the market. It has a huge potential, and we believe that Ghana stands tall in the global market if we are able to produce sesame seeds in economic quantities and export to these countries. We know America, Japan, Turkey, and China are the big markets for this produce. What we can do to reach this market is where Gesal is coming from. We are ready to support the banks with the protocol and the right structure to finance this business, and we are ready to develop the right production protocol to hand over to the business communities so that they can also leverage on what Gesal has done to develop this sector. It's a very good value chain crop, and we want to support in developing it.
Gesal, in partnership with local banks, are poised to unlock critical financing for sesame farmers, aggregators, and exporters.
So we are here today to witness a sesame plantation that has been fostered by Gesal with their technical assistance and all of that. It is a great venture, and it is a privilege for us as a bank to be partner of this. We've been a partner with GESA for the past almost 5 years, and they have supported the bank with their technical assistance in funding agribusinesses and agriculture as a whole. As a bank, we also have commitment in supporting agriculture, and it is in that respect that we have a partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, providing a low-cost financing to agribusinesses at 7% per annum with reduced collateral. So it is a great privilege to be part of this. This is a great investment, and it's a great potential to see a sesame production like this that will be able to generate a lot of jobs for our youth and women in communities like this. So as a bank, we pledge our commitment in supporting ventures like this and agriculture as a whole.
I mean, as stakeholders and partners in this, we are excited about, at EcoBank, we are excited about what we're seeing, especially where GESL is involved, because we trust their judgment, technical ability, number one. And once we get together, we believe that we are able to fashion out something that can actually scale this one up that will be beneficial to both the banks and the farmers. And so for me, it's a big deal.
Sesame could be Ghana's next agricultural success story. With GESAL's involvement, farmers and stakeholders are hopeful that this tiny seed will yield big returns.
Sesame seeds has a lot of nutritional values. It is used for oil, which is quite expensive than most oils we have in the market. It is also used for cosmetics, and is used also in the medicinal, as a medicinal crop. Its value is enormous. I cannot mention all, but it is highly demanded in the international market because of its nutritional value. It's not GESAL that is going to drive this agenda. We want to partner with the businesses. We are just providing and developing a template for them to use, drive on that, and be able to scale up. And that is what we are looking at doing. So as part of GESA's 5-year strategy, we are developing certain essential commodities. We started with chili peppers, and now we are doing sesame seeds. We believe that these crops have a lot of potentials that are untapped. And therefore, we are working with the businesses and the financial institutions to develop these value chains. As we are also looking at some of the domestic and the staple crops that we grow in Ghana. For example, Ghana is not producing maize on commercial levels. Ghana is not producing, we are unable to produce soya on commercial levels. So after the chili and the sesame seeds trial, we will be looking at other crops like maize, soya, and develop appropriate templates, professional templates for them, for the businesses to use in producing in economic quantities.
Experts estimate that with improved investment and coordination, Ghana's sesame sector could generate over $100 million in exports annually.
Welcome back on the AM Show. We get into our big stories. Don't forget, the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. But we kickstart matters with my alma mater, the University of Ghana, a chapter of UTAG, charging on the Auditor General, accusing him of unethical and unprofessional conduct and using the office as a tool for intimidation and unbridled discretionary use of power to disallow legitimate payments. They say the Auditor General must resign. But the question is why? Let's listen to what they had to say in that presser.
But be it as it may, this report is not an isolated incident. It sits within the job that was done by the Auditor General. This report, as distasteful as it is simply predicated on the poor job that was done by the audit service. The standards of auditing, in our opinion, has plummeted in recent years, and if care is not taken, would have serious consequences for the nation. It appears to us that the audit service is more interested in appearing to be working rather than doing the right thing. And in so doing, they ignore ethical standards that guide their profession. University of Ghana management maintains that the initial audit report was not shared with them for them to make comments and clarify any discrepancies before this was made public.
And that is what the University of Ghana had to say. In fact, they have ample representation here today as the secretary of the University of Ghana chapter, that is UTAG, joins the conversation. He's in the person of Jerry Joe Harrison. Good morning, sir. Good morning. All right. Sweetie?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start. We just had that presser right there. But first of all, how are you feeling this morning?
Oh, doing great.
Okay, we're great. We spoke to Dr. Kwame Asasanti, who said he stands with the University of Ghana UTAG, and so you're all aligned. I want to hear from you, your explanation, first of all. This is what started everything. The Auditor General's report alleging that UG overstated employee compensation by 59.2 million Ghana cedis. What was the understanding of that particular issue that brought us to where we are right now?
Thank you very much. So when you say UG overstated its employee compensation by 59.2 million, that's inaccurate. The Auditor General sought to disallow an expenditure in extent of 59.2 million. What that means is that these are probably expenditures that were incurred without appropriate authorization. And so that in itself does not represent an overbloating. But the facts have to be set out very clearly, and that is University of Ghana as an institution is required to maintain a certain standard. And when it comes to standards, the teacher-student ratio plays an integral component in there. And with the introduction of the free SHS and government's continued refusal to give clearance for lecturers to be recruited, management thought it wise to re-engage people who are retiring so that we can maintain a decent lecturer-student ratio that ensures that a certain quality that the students deserve is given them, because we are known to deliver quality education. And so the proposition to re-engage retiring people was not done in isolation. Just for the record, over the period, more than 800 people either resigned, died, or retired from the University of Ghana. And only about 102 people were recruited to replace these. How do you ensure sustainable running of a university that is going to deliver quality education to deserving people, with these kind of numbers? And so, in 2022, cabinet approval was sought in re-engaging retiring, lecturers to help augment the number in the system. So, to feign ignorance that these things were done at the blind side of the law, we all know what Article 199 says, and all that it does. But right. I think cabinet has every right to, through executive order, do some of these things. And so, we as UTAG, we are not really concerned about whether these are legal or not. We don't want to go to that tangent. Management has, the job to do that. But the process that happened, did it follow the basic ethical, regulations that govern activities of these institutions?
And that begs the question, has the university responded officially? And if you have, what documentation did you provide to clarify this 59.2 million discrepancy or overstatements that we are talking about? Have you responded directly to the Auditor General?
Well, the thing is that why we are here is because when the audit report was finalized, or when the initial report was done, university manager was not given a chance.
Was not given a chance?
Absolutely.
Which you actually state in you put it in the statement.
Exactly.
I want to know what it means when you say you were not given the chance.
So the standard auditing procedure is this. I audit you when I have my findings, I bring it to you with, these are discrepancies I'm finding. What explanations do you have for these discrepancies? You give me your answers. I evaluate those answers. Those that I agree with, I remove from my audit report. Those that I disagree with, I give comments on the answer that you have given. In finalizing the report, I put my discrepancies there, what your responses are and what my responses are, so that anybody looking at the report looks at it from a balanced perspective. In this particular instance, according to investment management, they were not given the chance to read the initial report and to give clarifications to these things. And that, we believe, is probably the lowest any institution like the audit service could go. And if
I understand, I want to follow your story.
Sure.
Were you expecting the Auditor General to present these reports to you? Because from my understanding, this report had been published for about 3 months or so before we even published it. So at what point were you expecting the Auditor General to come to you and say, these are our findings, respond to it?
As soon as the initial report was ready, the Auditor General, I'm saying that it's not at their whims. It is the regulation, it's by law, that if you audit somebody and you find anything at variance with what the law requires, before your final report is made public, that person must be given the chance to respond. If you don't do that, you have breached the law and the code of ethics.
Benjamin.
Right. So let's just clarify here. I believe you're pointing to the fact that just as, in the case of our CJ and her suspension, people were calling about, oh, let her see the petition and all of that. When the Auditor General comes through with these charges, which could be disallowances, surcharges, and all of that, it doesn't behove you to go to the Auditor General. It behoves the Auditor General to furnish you with the details. That's what you're trying to say, right?
That's exactly what the standard practice, internationally recognized, is.
I like how you're saying internationally recognized standard practice. You also said at a point that legal or not, that's not what your concern is. Why?
So some people argue that insofar as Article 109 is concerned, when you attain the age of 60, you're supposed to retire. And so it is the discretion of the Auditor General to disallow any payments that are made based on re-engagement of people who have attained the age of 60. What we are saying is that in this particular instance, there was a cabinet approval because government is the one that spends the money. And so you can't just employ anybody and expect government to pay them. So cabinet duly approved that this procedure should be followed. And so whether this breaches Article 109 or not, that is not our contention here. That auditor can go to court. Anybody can go to court to test whether this was something that was rightly done by cabinet or not. And so the contention here is not in that manner. But be it as it may, does it mean that you just breach whatever ethics that govern your profession in giving people the chance to explain on what basis did they employ those people? What authorization did they have in employing these people to be paid with public funds? Of course, IGF is also part of public funds, that I agree. And so, insofar as you are sitting at the other side of the aisle, you must understand, was there any authorization by anybody within the sector that allowed universities to do what they do? If you don't give people the chance to explain and to furnish you with whatever basis that allow them to do this, that is a breach of the code of ethics that govern auditing.
I do know that in recent times, Mr. President has been talking about those above that age who remain, at post and all of that. But there has also been some seclusion, including lecturers, academics. Let me just put it that way. But in respect of, you had cabinet approval, but just walk us through again. I want clarity. What accounts for the 59.2 million Ghana Cedi discrepancy? Sweetie posed the question to you. I don't know whether you've given us what went into it. Explain the IGF situation.
So somewhere in 2018 thereabout, government was hand on cash. So this is how University of Ghana operates. There are people.
20 what?
I'm saying that around 2018 thereabout, government didn't have a lot of money.
It was cash strapped.
Cash strapped. Right. So it approached the university. Look, sometimes it does happen where salaries are paid by universities before government reimburses them when situations arise. So because of this kind of arrangement, government said that, look, can you step in to take part of this whilst we sort out things? So somehow...
so take part of it in what sense? With your IGF?
Yes.
With your IGF?
Yes.
Okay.
So that arrangement has been in place where certain people, especially those on post-retirement contract, are paid from IGF. So the University of Ghana maintains an IGF payroll and Government of Ghana payroll.
So from that time, you started having a dual payroll.
In fact, we've always had a dual payroll, but that dual payroll didn't include salary payments to post-retirement contract people, right? So that has been in place. Now, based on standard financial reporting and Ghana's laws, when you are submitting your annual report for auditing, you must include all of that, right? And so, but they are disaggregated in terms of IGF-based and Government of Ghana-based. Now, in the auditing, what they sought to do was to classify these as illegitimate payments that have gone to people who had retired. So it is the classification of the IGF-based payments to these people who had retired, consistent with the law, that these represent, disallowed payment because these people have attained the retirement age. That is what has brought all this confusion. But these are not monies that management was asking from government, because these are monies that had already been paid. But we must account for all the money that we've collected from people and what they've been used for. So the basis of all this confusion is just because these two were aggregated together as if these are Government of Ghana payroll system payments that UG had overstated, that required to be recruited or recouped from management.
In other words, you're saying this is a sheer case of misunderstanding on the part of the Auditor General?
I absolutely believe so. And that is why they, furnishing the university with the initial report, would have simply clarified so that we don't have the kind of confusion that we have.
The University of Ghana, clarify for me, at least per what I know, it's semi-autonomous, right?
Yes.
Okay. And does that mean then that these IGFs, the university is expecting that government will reimburse that at any point in time, or does it just continue? At what point does it stop?
No, so IGF still remains Government of Ghana money. University of Ghana is a property of government. We are all part of the government. And so that is why when IGFs are used to build infrastructure, sometimes used to pay lecturers as it is. So IGFs are not really excluded from the government money per se. But because of the peculiarities of university systems, Government of Ghana allowed the universities to keep these monies as internally generated funds, because now they can be used to do other things that otherwise government would have to do, right? So that is why government willingly went and said, look, I'm right now in a critical situation. Can you step in to help? If you remember, during the time of President Kufuor, I believe 2006-07, thereabout, universities, the same thing happened, where universities paid salaries for almost 3 months or so before they were reimbursed. And then the idea, you universities, you are sitting on so much funds. And so, government's eye began to come on the universities. I'm just saying that it is not out of place for universities to use their IGFs to even pay salaries before they are reimbursed. But in this particular instance, because government was not absorbing these, and the University of Ghana needs a certain standard to be met, they had to seek cabinet approval to use part of their IGF to re-engage these people so that we can maintain a decent student-lecturer ratio. And that's exactly what was done. There was no overbloating or overstatement of employee compensation of any sort.
And of course, that could have affected, the faculties, the different faculties, if you were not paying your lecturers, sweetie.
Of course.
So there's some sort of document to back this, right? There's a memorandum of understanding. There's something that proves you can just show and say that this is what's resulting.
Absolutely. It's public knowledge.
You can show this to us eventually. Now, the statements that you release seek to discredit Joy News as a whole, because we simply reported what we'd seen. After all the explanations pouring in from that time till now, do you still maintain that there's some sort of inaccuracies in our reportage, or do you now understand why the report came to bear the way it did?
Okay, thank you. You see, as journalists, balanced reporting is what is the standard for you. And so when you are writing a report about somebody, from the very first day you stepped into the classroom, at the Ghana Institute of Journalism or wherever you should be trading, balanced reportage is what the basic standard is. And so irrespective of how impeccable you think your source is, you are required by the ethics of your profession to hear the other side of the story. Merely taking data from the report and giving it the headline that you gave, was a misrepresentation of the fact. And that is why we feel that you didn't do your job,
Is it in
well.
fact a misrepresentation of the fact from our part? You just said here that the Auditor General did not come to you according to best practices and require or to ask for your explanation into the matter.
Exactly.
But it is a fact that, and I still have it here. In fact, we put it in a graphic to show you that, in fact, it looks like you overstated those claims, those salaries.
Looks like. Great.
So, yeah, so I'm saying that if we reported what we saw from the Auditor General, which is a credible outfit, why are you still casting aspersions on our name or calling our credibility into question?
Did the Auditor General say that these are overstatements of...
Actually, let me do this. So our head editor explained this in detail on the Pulse yesterday, and let's listen to what he has to say about it.
Claim that they had been giving clearance to employ a number that will not deliver on quality, education quality in the university, and that it will not help with the teacher-student ratio, right? And so they had to bring in, as they explained, lecturers who are retired and put them on the IGF and pay them there. And the Auditor General audited it and put them together and reported it as being disallowed and savings made because they had overstated what the government of Ghana had given them clearance to employ. That is the Auditor General's finding, and that is what we simply reported. So where have we gone wrong? But I come back to the point I made earlier. The only good thing about this is that the individuals speaking, both the university management, I don't know who signed it, and the lecturers. The lecturers, the union, they are not journalists. So we can pardon, they don't understand the way we operate. They had made a point there that it is the standard that you have to check with the individual against him an allegation. The person who must do that and is obliged to do so, as far as the ethics and the professional dictates of the profession is concerned, called auditing, is the Auditor General. And the Auditor General, in his methodology, told us in this report that they have evaluated management letters that had been issued and came to the conclusion. So what's the point there?
Harrison, this is what we have to say. Your response?
It's quite interesting. So let me come back to the point. And this thing happens to journalists all the time. You get a swoop, right? And you are so sure about your source and you report it as such, only to find out that later your source was not as impeccable as you thought it was. And this is a clear case. I think that Evans doesn't really understand what is happening. All that we are saying is that when you take a report, statistics can be very, very misleading, let me tell you. And people always cite statistics, but if you're not a statistician, you may think that, oh, I just stated a fact. No, you may have stated a fact, but that fact could be stated in a misleading manner. For example, when you report a mean of a data, do you know why you have to report a standard deviation? So that somebody looking at it knows the scope or the extent to which the things deviate from the center. If you simply report the center and use the center to write your story can end up very, very misleading. So, look, without due respect, I think that it is not helpful when you are not accepting the fact that whilst it is incumbent on the Auditor General to have contacted the University of Ghana for their input, when you read a report and you didn't see any input from the University of Ghana, they didn't alarm you. I think that those red flags were right there, that a standard audit report should have respondents' input in there. That is what you should have done that you didn't do. And that is why we think that it was an anomaly. And that is why you should have probably contacted the University of Ghana to hear the side of the story before publishing it the way you did.
I shall read something from your statement, which also, sort of predicates where the blame should lie. But you do have a point in respect of interacting with the other side. In law, audi alteram partem. However, you do realize that in journalistic practice, it's not for every story that we may be able to do that. But in this instance, while we also reserve the right to do some of what we did, that is part of why we've offered you the opportunity this morning.
That's why I came.
To share your side of the story, even as the Auditor General comes into question. I just wanted to read this part and I'll go back to Sweetie. Your statement says, the reporting by this journalist, as distasteful as it is predicated on a poor job done by the audit service, done by the would you like to add the rest? Done by the
audit service, yeah.
Okay. And the standards of auditing have plummeted in recent years. You go on and on. So, yes, we do acknowledge that more could have been done, but this is what even your statement says.
We are objective people, and so in evaluating that, we knew that that report that has come from your outfit was based on something. And so we couldn't just blame you entirely for completely misrepresenting the fact. That is why we put it in context that, again, a simple phone call could have clarified all these things. We wouldn't even have to be here because you are not the principal agent to be blamed. But you also reported something that was inaccurate. And so we have to let the world know that, well, we are not entirely happy with the way you also went about reporting the
And let me also quickly add, because you mentioned in the statement that there's the medallion issue with 11 million Ghana cedis.
Well, which you are fully aware of.
There's never any intention from our end to lampoon. I'm a product of the University of Ghana.
We are going
it's
to
not as though no one's intent is to try and do anything.
No, but I mean, it's important. You see, we are in this business together. UG benefits from your outfit. You benefit from our outfit. So it's important that we collaborate on these issues. I don't see why, if you call me to seek clarification, I wouldn't give for as long as the information is there. And so let's collaborate and ensure that we get a balanced reportage. I understand that in the current age, speed is of essence, but we can't sacrifice speed for accuracy.
We don't do that.
No, I'm just saying.
Also, I have to ask, do you think UTAG should play some sort of watchdog role if the Auditor General did not come to you? And my understanding is this is something that had already gone to Parliament. And there are so many decisions we take in this country because we base our, based on the Auditor General's report. Recently, there was a whole national dialogue on revenue leakages in Ghana because according to the Auditor General's report, Ghana loses $2 billion annually in terms of revenue leakages. Are you saying to us that no one from UTAG thought that after 3 months of this audit to check in and see that have they come to us for a response? If not, maybe we follow up. And then you lay blame on us for reporting the fact as the Auditor General reported it. I want to move on from this, but quick.
Well, you see, let's understand that there are standards for doing everything. The fact that the report is in Parliament and nobody even raised that issue in the first place is a red flag because Parliament should know that it is a requirement, standard reporting requirement that the report coming.
But what I'm saying is 3 months after the report was released by the Auditor General, UTAG, the lecturers, everyone who's in here now saying that Joy News shouldn't have done this, calling for the resignation of the Auditor General. Nobody took the initiative to check. Like they say, if the mountain doesn't, if the
Mohammed doesn't go to the mountain,
yeah, so you should have. I think you ought to have checked.
No, you see, this is the thing. The report that you wrote and the fallout thereafter brought the image of the University of Ghana into serious disrepute, and we as stakeholders have every responsibility to respond. Now, let me tell you something. This is what people don't know. When it comes to issues of financial irregularity, the international community takes it very, very seriously. As lecturers, we receive research grants from international organizations to do research. These come with very strict financial regulations. And so for an institution where management can inflate staff compensation by this amount, it's not an institution that anybody want to give money to do research on their behalf. And it is that part that affects us as UTAG directly. And that is why we are seeking to make sure that this misreporting by the Auditor General and others doesn't continue, because in the end we will take the hit for it.
Benjamin.
Just how much damage, it's a question I had penned down, just how much damage do you think this has done to the reputation of the University of Ghana? I've seen MPs, including the likes of Roxanne Nelson Dapiamekbo, who is a product of the institution, also post and say, look, it casts some shame on us, the products and all of that. How much damage do you think has been done?
It is enormous. And many friends from the US, UK, Europe generally, seems I'm in Asia, calling, is it really happening at the University of Ghana? Is it really happening? And you have to take your time to explain to them. Sometimes you may underestimate how much these things can damage someone's reputation, but it is very, very huge, and that is why we had to step in, because the letter or the rebuttal from management didn't really receive any traction. If if you say so. And so, as UTAG and being key stakeholders who are directly affected by this, we felt that we have to, do something. And so I wanted to understand that the international community is watching. Joy is a huge media house, and your reach is quite wide. And so whatever report you put out there is taken very seriously. More so, people know that you strive to be credible in your reporting. So people had not even read the Auditor General report, but the report that you wrote was all over the place. That should tell you how far your reach is, and that is why we thought that a few checks should happen when these things are going to go out. So that,
and again, that is why I state that yes, you are taking on the Auditor General. We reported what was within the confines of that report. Of course, there are other externalities that we could get into. But let me reiterate, it is never the intent of this media house to denigrate an outfit
and
like
that's
yours.
received
And
well.
so
Thank you for that.
Let's get that clear. But moving forward, what is the move? Precautionary measures. What is the institution going to do in the near future to forestall any such incidents? Because you do realize that this could very well happen again.
Oh, yes, it can. And I think that part of that is simply because Article 199 is not very explicit in terms of lecturers that can be engaged on post-retirement to continue to work. And so with the constitutional review currently ongoing, UG-UTAG is going to put in a memo, and one of the things that we are going to recommend is to have an additional clause, to Article 199 that puts everything to rest, so that an auditor wouldn't have the discretion to decide, even if Cabinet approved it, is it consistent with Article 199 or any other provision, in the Constitution. Once it is there explicitly that that can be done, that saves us from any of these in the future. But I think that this also serves as a learning ground where there should be, better collaboration between the auditing institution and the institution that are being audited. Standards are important, and more so for an institution like the Audit Service. Standards are absolutely key, because you see, somebody can simply decide to misunderstand what you are saying, and that puts you in a lot of trouble. You would have to go to court and seek legal redress, which can take a very long time before whatever damage is done to your reputation is repaired. And sometimes it never gets repaired. So I think that going forward, there's a learning curve for everybody. The Audit Service has a responsibility to ensure that the basic standards are followed in all these, and that people are given the chance to respond when they are said to have infracted the law. Let me give you a typical example of what an auditor can do. Procurement. You are supposed to go through a certain process, get invoices, bid and tender and everything. When you go through all that, and you as the spending officer, you realize that the bids that you're receiving are way, way higher than the market price. And you decide that in an effort to save the state money, you go to the market to buy the item at a cheaper cost. An auditor can disallow it and surcharge you for not following the procedure, because the procedure says this is what you should do. But people forget that there is a spirit behind every law. And so the spirit of the law and the letter of the law are all very important in interpretation. And so the spirit is that you save the state money by not going by exactly what has been done, even though you follow the procedure. But an auditor can simply disallow it. And that
Talking about following procedures, you also spoke about standards and repairing images and all that. You do know that what we are doing right now is just some sort of PR, damage control. But until the Public Accounts Committee have looked into the matter, hears it and discounts these findings, the figures don't change.
We are not discounting the figures. The figures remain accurate. It's the interpretation of the figures that's a problem.
Right. So what we are doing right now, it doesn't even, for us, we're talking about standards and repair and all that. I'm just saying that for as far as we are concerned, in that audit document, the figures are still the same.
They are the same. And
when the Public Accounts Committee eventually hears or sits on this matter, and we find out that what you're saying is not really what it is. And then what?
It's impossible that, what I'm saying is any contrary to what it is.
You said it's impossible. That
it is impossible because
contrary.
there's a cabinet approval, which is there for everybody to see. So
I just want you on record because they will hear. They
will hear it, and I think that these reporting sometimes create negative impressions in the minds of people, which sometimes skews the way they think about a report. That is why we thought that, well, it's better to set a record straight, so that people don't have difficulty reconciling in the figures. The figures are accurate. It is how we are interpreting them that's a problem.
And of course, before that committee, you have the ability to bring forward these facts,
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. You are calling for the head of the Auditor General. If that doesn't happen, then what?
Look, an institution like the Audit Service...
And by the way, do you think that's the only remedy in this case?
Ghana must rise up to the occasion. You see, we are seeing falling standards in almost every aspect of our lives. If an institution like the Audit Service can violate the most basic of its ethos, the head cannot continue to stay. I mean, with all due respect. You can't preside over an institution where auditors cannot follow the basic principle of reporting. Can you imagine what else is happening that we don't know? And that is why...
What if the Auditor General were to, assuming he was minded to do so based on what was put out, if he apologized, would that be enough?
It depends on how sincere the apology is. So I, sitting here, single-handedly cannot decide whether an apology is going to be enough. We are a unit, we work together, and we'll have to evaluate whatever apology, if there's going to be any, to see whether it suffices. But to be honest with you, every auditor you speak to, they are so shocked and scandalized that they only say, no, that cannot happen, that cannot happen. But it has happened. And that's how serious it is, that people are so shocked that for an institution like an audit service, an audit report can be put out without the auditee having the chance to review and provide clarification.
I'll pose this bit just quickly. With the removal of the head of the Ghana Statistical Service and others, people have said that sometimes we should allow these people to stay at post. Here we are with an Auditor General who has been inherited from a previous administration. This push would mean that yet another one could fall if the processes are triggered.
So I agree with you that competent people are doing their jobs, irrespective of who appointed them, should be allowed to stay in office. I disagree to a large extent when competent people are removed just on the basis of whoever appointed them, irrespective of whether they are doing a good job or not. And so the base of removal has to be based on performance. Right. As a country, we must begin to look at performance-based contracts rather than, it's my party and it's my brother, it's my uncle and whoever. And so you occupy a position when you are completely incompetent and you are there just for whatever, family or political ties.
Are you saying the Auditor General is
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in this particular instance, we are questioning the competence of the Auditor General and the ethical standards that he is instilling within the service. And it's on that basis that we are calling for his removal. Not that he was appointed by previous government, so he should go. No, that has never been part of our argument.
There is this question about new recruitments, lecturers, 1,500 of them. In the midst of all this melee, how are you going to handle that? More IGF, more Auditor General reports?
So absolutely not. You see, when we talk about the standards, the standards for tertiary education is supposed to be upheld by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. And to the extent that in the GTEC document that governs how universities should operate, there is a standard for student-lecturer ratios that are acceptable. Now, if you are a regulator of higher education and institutions, by virtue of government policy, have had overbloated numbers of students and lecturers' numbers remain dwindling, it is your responsibility to tell government that, hey, listen, we have standards that need to be followed, and so it is your responsibility to ensure that more people are recruited. The question I'm asking the Director General for GTEC is, why isn't GTEC on government neck to ensure that more lecturers are recruited? Is it because it is government? Is it because they don't care about standards? And so we believe that all these things situate within a certain canker of us not caring about standards. And as a society, if we continue to go down that hill, there will be serious consequences. Look, there are classes that used to be 500 to a lecturer, now they are 2,000. one person has to handle them. There are some that are as high as 3,000. How do you,
so how soon are you calling for clearance for these 1,500?
Immediately. Look.
Immediately.
Minister of Education, if you're listening, if you're watching, look, universities need more lecturers. The IGF means of IGF means of employing people is not sustainable. And we are calling the government to, as a matter of urgency, give clearance for the recruitment of lecturers. University of Ghana needs at least 1,500 people to maintain a decent, student-lecturer ratio. And so that is something that we need as a matter of urgency.
Jerry Joe Harrison, if you have any final words in 30 seconds, this will be the time to do that.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope that we can continue to collaborate whenever there's an issue. But I also want to ask independent agencies of government that, look, you are set up by the Constitution not to be an appendage of government to frustrate workers and other people that come before you. You are also mandated by law to keep government on its toes. And so the situations where issues come before you and when it involves government, government wins or you find means of frustrating, people come before you, it's just unacceptable. Let's continue or let's begin to uphold the highest ethical standards that will push this nation forward. Otherwise, we will not go where we want to be.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Jerry Joe Harrison is the Secretary of University of Ghana UTAG Division, and they're just helping all of us put in perspective that report from the Auditor General, and that has brought all this bone of contention. But thankfully, we have some clarity now. I'm sure you saw on your screens that it's day 2 of the decongestion exercise ongoing in Accra, and we'll take you right there after this break. To Accra, the central business district of the Greater Accra region, to find out what's the latest update there. And my colleague is on ground, boots on ground for us on day 2. So if you can hear me, James, what's happening right now?
Sweetie, in your shot there is some makeshift structures that are currently being destroyed here at Second New Plan Station. If you get to Second New Plan Station and you cross the road, the bus stop here, behind this bus stop has been encroached by squatters who have set up various makeshift structures where they live permanently and ply their trades in the course of the day. This morning, the AMA, led by the National Security as well as the Ghana Police Service, are here undertaking this massive destruction of these makeshift structures. I'll take you to behind the bus stop where a number of the makeshift structures have already been destroyed and taken away from the place. The traders have been complaining about the situation massively. A couple of them I've been speaking to tell me that they have been living here for years. Yesterday, the Accra mayor was here to also interact with them and give them the firm assurance that the structures will not be touched, only for them to wake up this morning to the presence of the police, the national security, as well as a team from the AMA who have destroyed a number of... Sir, let's talk to you briefly. Tell us, you are with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
I'm environmental health officer for AMA.
Okay. What is happening here?
What's happening is this place is a bus stop. The construction was made for the purposes of passengers. Yeah, for the purposes of passengers to stop and transit, to stop and board buses. That the whole place has been converted to a commercial activity. Supermarket line from the first bus stop to the end here has been taken over. Virtually no access for any human being to stop and pick a bus. And apart from that, the back, electrical connections, who connected them? Immorality, who asked them to live here? They converted the place to places of abort, mattresses, This, you can imagine the electrical system there. At the end of the day, if there is any fire outbreak here, they tend to say they are here for over 20 years, 10 years. Meanwhile, they have been causing not to be here. And based on that, the mayor sanctioned that all the bus stops must be made free for passengers to use. All the sanitation conditions must be met to the standard of AMA. And that is the exercise of today, particularly this place. And we are going to get it to all over the bus stops where the people have converted the places to trading activities.
I've just seen just across the road there, a number of them have moved their fridges, their mattresses, and in fact, I see someone holding bags. A number of Ghana must go with their belongings. Is that where they will stay? Where are you sending them to?
They are jokers. AMA is out for it. They are all jokers. It's better they take their personal belongings to a safer place where they can have access to their personal belongings. But for here, the whole stretch of the bridge to the end of the big roundabout, taking the second roundabout, the junkies, we are out for them until they leave this place.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Joseph Asitanga.
So those living at the other end of the road would also go?
Hey, where are you standing?
And you see him there trying to sack the man going there. I'm asking about those living at the other side of the road. Are they also going? Because I spoke to a woman who said you have allowed them to stay while you are sacking them.
Nobody. My brother.
Turn this way for me.
My brother, nobody allowed anybody to be here. We did the sensitization all over the whole of Accra Central equally here. They are all aware. The work is face by face. We are tackling here. You can imagine the enormous of the job here. Are you getting me? The enormous of the job here. Look, we started as early as 7. We are still here. So if we go there and we don't complete it, it means they will come back there. So another phase, we are drawing another phase. The whole of the stretch. If you go inside here, there is more than a slum. We are going for them.
To break all of them.
Everybody will
all the slums around the railway and the new plant.
They will go. I'm telling you, they will go.
Okay.
Yes.
Your name again, sir?
My name is Joseph Asitanga,
okay.
Environmental Health Officer in charge of operations, AMA.
Okay, and so that's the Meho there.
It's sanctioned by the mayor of Accra.
Is he hitting the field today himself?
Yeah, he's already in the field.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And so that's the Meho there. Let me speak to one of the squatters here. Do you also live here, sir? Do you also live here?
Hello,
yeah, talk to me. What's the situation?
Okay, the situation is about 2 weeks time or 1 week. And I'm saying Monday. I know about catching a say. Yo, 2 years. You are the alcohol, no, this source can get your money. I feel the idea and what the cabin was your baby buga. Yes, sir. Who to be in Tunisia, said you have with your crana. Go to be two other sports, sir. Oba credit by 3 weeks, yo. And now, Oba Ababuga, sir, maybe what discovery. The service say, I am your rider. I don't have to go buga. Now I'm calling Baby Bubu. I didn't tell them what Timmy Kobubu, Hanum, like a Kayan and Mudiman, yes, yes, sir. Well, Opposite what discovery, and now, opposite day, or 2 years, short as here.
Did he ask that you pay money?
They make you tiki. You don't speak another language.
So why do you go from here? So basically, that resident is telling us about his situation, and that the mayor came here yesterday to promise them to get them a place, but he was not able to do that, only for them to wake up today and to face another eviction from their place. Trying to cross the road to the other side to speak to the other squatters who are currently stranded here with their wares. If you can see, you see a number of bags here. There's a fridge there. There is a glassware where they display their tools. Boss, let's talk. Come, let's have a conversation. What do you sell here?
iPhone chargers, covers, protectors, and lenses.
You are also living at the back?
Yes, please.
How long have you been living there?
For like 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. Were you given any indication of they evicting you this morning?
Oh, no. Like, today, I was not in town. So my younger brother was here. He called me that
they have come to clear, so I should come quickly and pack our things. So I just come, then we pack. So I didn't hear anything like we should move from here or something. I didn't hear anything.
How did you manage to live there? Is it the fact that you went to see someone to get a place, or you saw people and you also joined?
One guy came here for like last year. He came and said he's the owner of the bus stop, those who give us the plot at the bus stop here. So every month he comes for 50 cedis. Okay. Every month, yeah.
So you pay 50 cedis to him?
Yeah.
You know his name?
No, I don't know his name.
Where does he come from?
I don't know where he comes from. Like, I don't know, maybe those... I don't know him. He just come here and say he's the owner of here, so we should give him 50 cedis every month. Then he come take it.
So, I mean, do you have leaders here?
No.
Everybody live on their own?
Yeah.
Where do you bath?
At Ginamis place.
There's a toilet and a bath.
Shower, yeah.
You pay to use it?
Yes, please.
I see. So your things are here. They said they are coming to sack you from here to. Where are you taking them to?
For now, I don't know where I'm taking it to. I'll just send them home. So then come and find some place. So if I get some place there, then I bring them back.
Where are you coming from?
I'm from Obuasi.
Obuasi. So you came to live here to sell the phone accessories?
Yes, please.
I see. What's your name?
Nanayao.
Nanayao is coming from Obuasi in Kumasi, and these are his things containing phone accessories. So this ones contain what? These bags?
They are the chargers. Okay. And free chargers, protectors, and things. Yeah.
What about your own clothing?
But I can't.
Okay. So this is Nanayao's things here. There's another fridge here containing... boss, is this for you?
No.
It's not for you?
No.
But do you also live at the back there?
No.
You don't live there? I see. So this is someone's fridge, which I'm sure they use for other activities. Two other fridges are here on the pavement, and the boys are hanging around. You see a number of them looking on to the activity that is happening. Want to try again to get back there, so I take you to the back of the bus stop where the structures have been demolished. So we take a look at how the place is looking like right now. You see a number of the boys are also standing looking on to what is happening here at Second New Plant Station, where the demolition exercise is ongoing. So we can get into the structure properly to see how the place looks like as we speak. So this is where they used to live proper. I'm trying to make my way down to the back of the bus stop, and you see a number of household things here. There is a water bucket here. You see a laundry bucket behind this structure here, where I'm sure they either keep in rubbish or their laundry, which they do later. The destruction is still ongoing here. These are some of the items there. The trampolines, the wood, the zinc is what they use to put up the structures properly. The one on my left here is still standing, and it is unclear whether they will be destroying that structure as well. A fridge is being broken open there to know the content of the things in it. Let's get closer to them to know what they are doing here. So that fridge is being opened forcefully to know what is in there. You see a number of the boys also standing by to either salvage the leftovers of the structures that they have destroyed. Chief, you live here?
Yes.
You used to live here?
Yes.
So have you been able to pick anything? Talk to me.
I was asking a bus stop that I ordered that Omoyeno and Cofantanada and on the market and to the mind, no. By
so you are living, you are ready to leave?
You were sad, you say.
You go to the other side. I see. So there he is. This is one of the fridges that has been opened, and it contains bottled water with pan I'm sure the person is yet to set off to market because the pan is still in the fridge with soft drinks as well as bottled water. Another one is opened at the other side, and it contains chilled water actually, which means that there's been electricity provision here, which they've been using to freeze their drinks and water to sell to the public. It is virtually frozen. It is unclear the source of power for this, but you see electric wires on the floor, which indicates that there is full life happening here. I just see a board there, an electric board there with a main switch, which I'm sure had been disconnected, and that is the source of power they use to power the fridges and other accessories here in order to help them undertake their work. The municipal health officer is still here at the center of all of this to oversee the work. I'm back to you again. Where do they get the power to power their accessories?
That is the question. They do this thing overnight, okay?
But have you been able to trace the source of the power?
Yeah, we did that. We traced it. They laid a power underground, and we tried to track. I think I have to bring the police. I have to let the police come. Hey, let the police come here. This woman be taking the way.
There is a bit of confrontation. The ladies are insisting that the thing shouldn't be removed from the fridge. You trace the power to where?
We trace the power. You cannot determine and see where they connected it from. So, because of that, when we came, we tried to get access to the meter. So we took all the power off from the meter. They have a central meter. The meter is with us, AMA. It's in the office. We're going to use the meter to interrogate, to investigate, to find out whose name is on that meter. And that will be where we arrest whoever owns the meter and who is paying the electricity bills to.
So when you trace the cable, at a point it was buried underground?
Underground, we cannot track it.
I see.
Yes.
So have you found the owner of these drinks?
They have been adequately educated. They are even among us, but they are playing a game of we will go, and they will remain here. So based on that, we evacuate the things, take the fridge out, and the place will be empty.
Okay.
That's all. Because the whole thing is that they play a strategy like, as we are here, 30 minutes, it's not going to be the same thing here.
Okay.
Yes.
You see, they are still removing the drinks and the minerals, the soft drinks from the fridge, and they are packing them into this rubber here to convey elsewhere. Boss, where are you taking them to?
We are sending that thing to office.
So we want to put it down. We don't know the person, because if the person comes, we don't know. And so we want to give it to the police. And so if the person comes, it's going to take their fridge and this thing to go. It's not our fault. It's not for us. And so we can't take some.
Okay, so you are helping them to pack it?
I sell here. I sell my things here. They have throw all my things away.
What do you sell?
I sell lash nails and chains. They have packed all our things here. So I have 3 children. I'm looking at them. So that see the way they have scattered here. See the way they have do. See my stomach. I have 3 children. I'm looking at them. I can give them their pictures. They have gone to school. That's why. Like I'll bring them and you see them. I'm telling you, I do lash. I do everything. I can take my things come. They scatter all. I can take my lash card, give you. It's here. You can see it. Okay. Let's go. I want my witness.
Okay. Thank you. And so that's a lady. She said she does eyelashes and makeovers here, and all of her things have been thrown away already, and she's helping to secure the items of a friend. The owner of these items hasn't been known yet. They are trying to get to know who it belongs to, but the AMA is taking custody of all of this for now. The police are there supervising all of the activities. Chief, I saw you disconnecting some wires there.
Yes, they are using ECG meter, but they don't pay anything, give ECG. And I think it is illegal connection over here. And so I've disconnected everything over here. Because if you see the voltage they are using over here, it is very huge.
Have you been able to trace the source of the power?
No. Yes.
So So I see a meter board there. Is that where they mount the meters and the switches?
Yes, but the meter didn't work at all.
You said the meters are for you.
For us.
Where did you get it from?
We go and buy it. I sell here. That's why I say I sell here. I do last everything here. I can take my teeth come.
So who gave you the meter? ECG? Who gave you the meter? ECG? Turn this way for me.
The person who brought it, he work at Tisco, but the person have died. When he died, he leave it for us. And so every day we buy credit, put inside. If we sell all of us.
So it's prepaid.
It's prepaid.
All right. So those are some of them. Yes, claiming that they brought the meters. They got it from someone, a deceased person who gave it to them. They came to install here, and they are using. But from my little knowledge, I'm told that you cannot move electricity of Ghana meters from one place to the other. But that's what they are telling us. You see one prepaid meter still on the meter board there, with a number of fuse plugs as well as main switch there. One of the meter is still on the board there, still waiting for the authorities to take possession of and leave the vicinity. They are still destroying some of the structures there. And so that's the situation here. The police are here as well as the national security, we are told, and the AMA task force to oversee this, destruction or demolition exercise. We are currently standing behind the bus stop here at opposite the new plant station, which the squatters have turned into an abode for themselves, where the authorities are currently demolishing. So that's the activity happening here at Circle, Sweetie.
There are boots on ground for the entire demolition exercise, which is supposed to last for 5 days. James, thank you so much for bringing us those updates. And of course, we'll circle back to you as and when we have more updates. The question on my mind is, how did this go unnoticed? How did this go on for so long that it had to take a decongestion exercise like this to get rid of that encroachment, if you may? And where do we go from here? But folks, thanks for your patience. Thanks for staying with us. And a gentle reminder that if you're looking for a home in a prime location, then Nesta's Home has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes, and social amenities. And off-plan prices start at $35,000. So contact us today and let's get you sorted. These are the numbers: 053 101 4440 or 053 101 4447. You can also visit our website at www.nestas.com.gh. Ben will tell you about Syntex Tank.
Ghana, I'm inviting you. Let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's really simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex Tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, and it is built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So rain or shine, Syntex Tank has your back. So my people, go outside, just take a step out, check your tank. If it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time for you to scale up, upgrade. Join the Syntex Tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call these numbers or call this number, 0244 335 168. To buy now, you can also find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at www.syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. We'll bring you our next conversation just up ahead. Do stay.
One of the things that if you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the cedi. They cannot tell you one. They only passed their budget in March. They've not even issued any contracts and paid for anything, pretty much. So you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. There's no such policy that.
In fact, when the president was swearing in the finance minister, one charge that he gave him was that Ghanaians expect him to stabilize the city. And he said Ghanaians expect him to reduce the cost of living for them. And so on assumption in office, the finance minister has taken that charge from His Excellency very seriously, and he's leading us to all of us to Makola, also to interact with market women. And one thing that came out clearly from our interaction with the market women was that they wanted the dollar to be stable. They wanted the former vice president made. A former vice president who was only interested in sloganeering will definitely make such a statement. The difference between our administration and theirs is that we are not shouting about slogans. We are only delivering.
But then he is challenging you to, sorry to chip in here, he's challenging you to at least point to one policy that has resulted or attributed to the appreciation of the cedi. Can you tell us those? We have
spoken extensively about the introduction of the gold board. And we told Ghanaians that the gold board was going to be the game changer. Look, the statistics.
The Ghanaian cedi, which depreciated by 19.2% in 2024, has shown signs of recovery, appreciating by 3.9% against the US dollar by the end of April 2025. This has been supported by stronger forex inflows, improved trade balances, and growing investor confidence. Our gross international reserves have improved further from $8.98 billion in December 2024 to $10.6 billion by April 2025. This is equivalent to almost 5 months of import cover. This reflects enhanced export earnings, particularly from gold and non-traditional exports, as well as timely disbursements from our multilateral partners.
And that's where we are now, the cedi, where it is, the weight it has gained. Is it on the back of anything extraordinary done by this administration, or are we only benefiting from what has been done by the erstwhile administration? We have our guest joining us for that all-important conversation this morning. Professor Patrick Esuming is an economist. We also have Dr. Jabir Ibrahim Mohammed. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here with you.
You keep surprising us, Doc, with your backgrounds. I like this one. Sweetie Abochi is also here. We're going to be conversing briefly with you. Let me start with you, Prof. What do you make of this commentary? The former vice president saying, oh, there's nothing new. They've done nothing since their budget. But the president and, in fact, a deputy governor of the central bank saying, no, we've put in place remedial measures. Your take?
Well, I think that, first of all, I would like to start by saying, if you look at the currency movement, it's driven by actual dollar inflows and outflow, as well as expectation. So I hear the vice president saying, well, they haven't been, the government has just formed. They have not implemented any specific policies that would have explained the currency movement. Well, that's not exactly the case. I think, first, yes, if you try to pass out, divide up what factors are driving the changes. We know, yes, the gold, accumulation of gold reserves is a big part, but we have to understand that and on that, you realize that much of the accumulation started way before the current government came into power. But at the same time, you have to look at some of even policy announcements. Policy announcements are enough to move the currencies. That's how financial markets work. I'm sure the former vice president knows that. That's why when there's just a mere announcement from, say, an IMF that Ghana is undertaking a program or that the economy is doing well, it's enough to move the currency. So while it might be the case that the government is relatively new and hasn't really had time to implement some of its programs, simply communicating a policy that the market believe is going to work is enough to move the currencies around. Now, so if you get into specifics, now, generally, because the direction of the economy before the end of last year has become extremely exasperating for many Ghanaians, the mere fact that there's a change, that change is enough to change the mood of investors. But it wasn't just that. If you recall, before the budget was ready, it had become clear that in the last quarter of last year, we didn't keep up with the IMF program. And indeed, going into the recent review by the IMF, there had been concerns that perhaps, given how far we deviated from the program targets and the number of targets that we have missed, there were concerns that the government will struggle to even reach an agreement. But when you read the budget that was read, it was clear that the government was absolutely committed to, returning the IMF program back on track. And the speed with which it was able to come to an agreement with the IMF, all of that communicated something to the markets that perhaps this new government is committed.
Right.
Then, of course, you can talk about the gold board that the advisor spoke about. While the gold board had just been put in place, and clearly we wouldn't have done much to bring in the inflows that we expect. Communicating a direction that you are going to streamline how gold is sold and purchased. And then people believing in the idea that, well, this will work is enough to move the currency.
Okay. So in effect, you're talking about positive and negative speculation, because if it's negative, then it impacts you. If it's positive, then you could see some of the boons we're experiencing, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Dr. Mohammed, what would be your brief take on that?
Thank you so much for having me. I think that there are two sides of the coin. One has to do with monetary policy issues, and the other has to do with the fiscal policy issues. And I think that extensively, a lot of discussions have been done surrounding both areas. Yes, if you look at the currency management, it's a very clear indication that things are really working in a perfect direction. So clearly, if you look at information management per se, you look at it from the central bank point of view, almost every now and then, they're able to tweet and come out with the figures and tell the people that this is what is happening. And this is not the first time that the central bank is using that to manage the currency. I think that in 2021, thereabout, when the currency was free-flowing and getting to the end of the year, I think that we started to see some level of appreciation of the currency. And it was through information management that was used to be able to manage the currency and get it back to track. Now, if you look at the central bank, I think the central bank has hiked the monetary policy rate. And this was aimed at trying to reduce the amount of money in circulation, in a sense that if you don't have so much money in circulation, you are able to control the amount of Cedi in circulation. So that is another key policy that the central bank had recently tried to do. And also, you see, we have the reserve required issue. So the reserve required issue was also hiked for certain cash amount of money. And if you do that, you are able to control the quantum of money that people will try to hold. So the use of the open market operations to be able to do that help to stabilize the currency in a particular way. Now, on the part of the physical side, the argument has been made that the budget has just been read, and that no much has been done in terms of payment, etc. But it's not only payment that moves the currency. a policy signal, as it has already been said, is able to move a currency in a particular direction. So if the government gives a clear point of view of a good policy signal, you should anticipate that the currency is going to perform within a particular period of time. Now, that notwithstanding, you also realize that commodity prices have been increasing steadily over the period. So if you look at it from February 2024 to December, commodity prices have been moving. And even in January, February, we have had a serious hike in terms of gold price, in terms of cocoa price, etc. And even oil prices has gradually declined over the period. So for instance, in February 2021, oil price was like $81 per barrel. And now we are trading around 75 per barrel, which means that there's been a marginal decrease in terms of the prices of oil, which means that the quantum of dollars that you will have flowed out might have drastically reduced as compared to if you were not having the price gradually coming down. So a number of reasons have been, has come along to be able to control the level of the performance of the currency as we currently see. So in a nutshell, yes, there could be some proper signals within the economy, but if you also look at it externally, the global factors affecting commodity prices have also helped in trying to stabilize the currency.
Right.
And the final issue I want to raise is about the trade balances. The trade balances has improved drastically over the period. And if your trade balances are improving, we have had a positive trade balance in terms of the export has significantly exceeded import, which means that we are not spending more dollars to bring in more goods. We are rather earning more dollars into the country. And for that matter, as we have more dollars, we are living in a floating managed exchange rate regime. So significantly, that is going to help to have enough dollars in the system. And the Bank of Ghana can occasionally come in to supply more dollars to the system to be able to stabilize the currency.
Dr. Mohamed, thank you for that. I want to go back to Professor Suming. You said that it's the communication. It also helps in what we are seeing right now. So are you saying Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is right? Because this is why I'm asking. Quote, they cannot tell you one that has been implemented, not sort of talked about, but actually implemented. So is he right in saying that the gains you're making, the Cedi appreciation, is not because of any policy that has already been implemented, but something that you've sort of talked about?
Well,
specifically,
I think he has a fair comment to make. However, I think it's not just communication. It's not just that the government has only communicated issue. It's actually started implementing. If you look at the gold board, we've seen that they are working, and we've seen them. I think in the last couple of weeks, we've heard about the arresting or causing arrest of people who are engaged in illegal trading of the currency. So things are happening. But I think it's not just, it's not just that the government has only come. If you look at what has happened even since the budget was passed, you've seen the implementation. And I think he himself complained that the government is not spending as much as it should. That's obviously moving beyond communication to action.
Right.
So I think it's fair to say, my take of what the vice president is trying to say is that, all the credit cannot go to the current administration. If that's what you want to say, I will agree with that. Because the policy, the gold purchase program that was started when he was vice president, has allowed us to accumulate so much gold. And it's part of the reason why, together with the fact that gold prices have increased, as Javier said, has allowed us to strengthen our reserve position. And I think that is a major part of why the central bank is able to intervene with the amount of dollars that has helped strengthen the Cedi.
All right.
But you cannot completely say, all the changes because of what happened in the past, and that, nothing has been done that will explain the change. I think it's a combination of what was started as well as what is being continued and new things that are being done.
All right, thank you. I think that's all that time will allow us for. But Dr. Ibrahim, if you have a final word for us briefly, because I'm hearing that it's a combination of factors, including global economic trends, strategic reserve management, fiscal policy started under the Astral administration and continued from now. So final word for us, and then we go.
Well, so I think that most of the fiscal policies and monetary policies being implemented by the government is on course. And if they should continue as they are doing now, it's going a long way to continue to strengthen the city. What Ghanaians want to see is that they want to see stability, but not a fluctuation currency, because that has a serious implication on planning. So I believe that if they're able to continue with the current management process, they will be in a better position to continue to stabilize the city and make the cost of living much better for all of us.
Thank you so much. So those who join us for this conversation, Professor Patrick Esuming is an economist, as well as Dr. Jibri Ibrahim Mohammed, Senior Lecturer, University of Ghana Business School. And gentlemen, don't you like this conversation? It's our positivity and taking credit for it. Thank you for your time. Coming up next, Benjamin Akakpo will tell you about what's happening on African Union Day after this break.
Welcome back. This is the AM show, and it's proudly sponsored by Whaley Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Let's now tell you about accelerating Africa's growth and the conference attached to that. Those in the studio will be doing more. They will elucidate on those matters. Tosi Shiyombo is AAGC Chief Moderator. We also have the founder and convener herself, Her Excellency Nyakan June. She also joins us in the studio. Nyakan, Tosi?
Thank you. What a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure. You have very colorful outfits. I see.
Thank you.
The African vibe is alive.
Absolutely.
Right. Nyakan, let me start with you. In respect of the AAGC, how long has it been, this journey?
This has been a combination of 10 years journey.
10 years?
10 years. We have a vision of having millions of inspired Africans who are productive and contributing to our continent's prosperity. So we set up our organization in 2012 and began to implement the reality of empowering women, youth, and SMEs as drivers of Africa's economic growth through hosting of conferences that drive conversations and deliver outcomes. Projects are then implemented through these outcomes. We wanted to be able to see a prosperous Africa in our generation, which means we needed to do something that would move us from talk to action. We needed to do something that would harness all the stakeholders that are critical for development: governments, private sector, business, communities, and the people themselves who are drivers for our economic transformation: the women, the youth, the SMEs. We needed to be able to convene a platform that simplifies all the complex challenges and problems we have on the continent, simplify conversations around the opportunities, but more importantly, develop ideas and actions that we will then do, which we have done over the last 10 years. Every year in February, we hosted the Timeless Women Conferences, hosted by our organization, the Timeless Women of Wonder, Africa. These conferences were driving conversations that were now allowing us to run programs that are very practical, that bring women and youth into economy in non-traditional ways. So over the 10 years, we've empowered over 35,000 women with skills. 35,000 women with skills.
All across the continent of Africa?
Primarily in East Africa, starting off Kenya. And this is women in construction, looking at where the poorest. They earn between $0 to $1 a day. The conversations we had at the conference was, we need to move from talk to action and do things that are really practically changing the lives of people economically, because we'll only solve Africa's problems if we can create wealth. So we looked at the construction sector as a sector that is predominantly high value across Africa. It is growing. We're still industrializing and growing throughout Africa. And that's a sector that we can be able to skill and hire, skill, create jobs, skill, start businesses within that sector. So coming into the 10th year of convening, simplifying, developing programs, developing policy outcomes, one or two policies that if you change or you align one aspect, it opens up enabling for economic growth. So those policy actions were taken by governments and policy makers. And when we changed one thing, like for example, in Kenya, we had a very forward-driven 30% Public Procurement Act that says 30% of all government procurement is allocated to women, youth, and SMEs so that they can contribute and access
So there was a
opportunities.
direct impact.
Direct impact. So when we then implement that through the work that we do, whatever, we're able to then assimilate. These women we train in the construction sector. We needed to influence a policy in government that says, when you give tenders in the construction sector, can you then take these trained, skilled women into the pipeline of the construction sector? So you get jobs for majority of the people. Now in the 10th year, we decided, let's take what we've learned, bring it around a conversation of Africa Day. It becomes an Africa agenda. We re-engineer the name of the conference to Accelerate Africa's Growth Conference. So the word accelerate is what we are focusing on.
Okay, so let's accelerate on that point, Tosi.
Yes.
Let me come to you. So it's a sort of synergy you're trying to build. Governments, private sector coming together to meld with policy and map the way forward. But how African is this at this point, Tosi?
Absolutely very African. I mean, myself being a Namibian, sitting with a Kenyan beautiful lady right here in the studio, right, in Ghana, right? So it's like different African countries igniting. And that's exactly the Africa that we wish to see. So if we ourselves do not stand up and be able to advocate for that and be the living examples doing that, then nobody else can. So when I heard about the event, I did not even hesitate to say, you know, maybe it's not my space or it's not my country. It's my continent. It's me, defines who I am. Oh, absolutely, anytime.
But let's even talk about, so we're having all of this, we're having the conversation. Why the selection of Ghana? What went into selecting Ghana?
Ghana? I know, you know, Nigerians don't take it well when we do praise Ghana, but we love Ghana. I mean, it's the gateway to Africa when they say that. This is the land of the late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the father of Africa. Who does not love Ghana? So Ghana is the epitome and the pride of Africa, in my opinion, with beautiful people, with loving people. Look where we sit at. We're just grateful to be in Ghana.
We have a few more minutes, but let me ask you, what can we expect as far as this conference is concerned? Who is coming?
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He's going to be opening the conference. We have representation also from the Vice President's office. The Speaker of Ghana's Parliament is going to be present. Minister of Gender, Minister for Youth are to be present. But outside, we're looking at the Speaker of South Sudan, the Republic of South Sudan, who's also happening to be a female speaker who heads 2 houses, Speaker of East Africa Parliament as well. We have legislators, a team of legislators delegation from South Africa's Parliament. We're having private sector leaders from Kenya, from Zambia, from Malawi coming on board. We have the president of the Africa Business Council, Dr. Amani Asfour. She is going to be present. So we're looking at a mix of top leaders from the business, government, and corporate sectors, also coming into a conversation to share their intellect with the other intellectual people on the conference. But we have our women, our youth, and SMEs in the room. Okay. What do we expect? Intellect, a heart for Africa, potential being unlocked, and outcomes that are going to become the programs that we implement in Ghana. And as this conference is rotating in a different African country every year, as we move to the African countries, we replicate the same thing.
All right. What do you think, and this will be your final words, what do you think would be the reason that those women, those entrepreneurs, those policymakers, those development-oriented people coming for this conference should expect, look forward to on that day? Tosi.
Let's really say thank you to a brave woman who decided to come from Kenya and host such a platform for everybody.
And hold it down.
You know what I mean? It's like a one-stop shop.
Right.
You don't have to go anywhere to go and pay. Like with a mother instinct and say, you know, let me pour it back into my community, into my children. Let me empower them. Let them be part of the conversation. The time is right now for the youth to be empowered. She ensured that you do not have to travel very far. So Ghanaians, you better grab this opportunity, make the best out of it. It's brought at your doorsteps. So if you are not part of these conversations, then you shall be left out. And we don't want anybody to be left out. So we make it continental. It's right here. Come and make use of it. This is a way to network inexpensively. But at the same time, it's also growth for everybody.
All right.
Yes.
And of course, between the 25th and the 27th of this month, there's that main event on the 26th as well. All of those coming up. Those who are featuring are those you can see on your television screens right now. It's all about accelerating Africa's growth and the conference on the back of that. Final words.
Yes, it's time for Africa. It's time to be in the conversation. It's time to take what actions we need to be able to drive our continent forward. I think it's time for Africa to unite, to collaborate, and to actually move into action. It's an exciting time. I welcome everybody to be part of this conversation.
Thank you very much. And you just heard Her Excellency Nyakan June. She is a founder and convener of the Accelerating Africa's Growth Conference. And Tosi Shiyombo is a chief moderator at the AAGC. That's how we cap off the AM show this morning. But we're going to leave you right before Joy News Desk with the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee holding its 124th regular meeting today. From Sweetie and yours truly, have a wonderful morning.
Of Guta. This is the first time we are having them join us, and we think it is important they gain an understanding of what we do. So for the next 2 days at least, he's going to be here to observe the presentations. Then we have Professor Alagidede. Prof is doing a very important work for us. We have a chair at the Department of Economics in Legon and Finance, right? And Prof is sitting on that chair. He is going to be conducting a lot of research. He is going to be engaging in a lot of work for the bank, and we are happy to have him also join us. Prof, you're welcome. Feel free, if you have any comments in the process, please speak out. We are in this together. You're welcome.
Thank you.